Hopefully it doesn't destroy my channel. YouTube is very finicky about these particular things. But anyways, we're doing an earlier live stream with a cup of Joe. We're going to coffee talk, okay? Kicking it off. Last time we went at nighttime. We're going to go a little earlier for the folks on the freaking other side of the world. And I want to talk about something real fast here before people tune on here. I want to talk about a thing or two called freaking the difference between home gyms and the commercial gym. I want to talk about the workouts. I want to talk about the differences that going to a commercial gym, for me at least, when I go to a commercial gym, I hoist, heft, and heave colossal amounts of, let me see if I can get this chat on here. Where's the freaking, there we go. Let's go stick. I just want to get this up. Thank you guys for bearing with me. God dang it. Okay. Fellas, all right, I got a cup of Joe, a big cup of Joe here. I'll talk about your questions here. I was just saying, basically, like last week, I kicked it off with glycine. Do I have the Conan, the sword? I broke it, unfortunately. I swung that sucker with as much gusto as it would take to cut off the head of Thulsa Doom, and the freaking handle snapped, okay? I don't know if that's a sign of the quality, poor quality, I should say, of the maker of the freaking Conan the Barbarian Sword of Atlantia, I think it is, or if that was just my supreme horsepower. I'm pulling up the chat right now. Oh my God, there we go. Let's check out these questions, unless you want me to finish talking about the difference of going to the gym versus having a home gym. Now, the reason I bring this up here, first and foremost, is because having a home gym setup is it just changes drastically the factors of hoisting, hefting, and heaving. Okay, a lot of people ask me, like, I'm having a newborn kid. What do I do? How do I maintain my gains? And I say, listen, as long as you got a home gym, you're gonna make better gains than ever, because it's gonna freaking force you to get outside of your comfort zone, get outside the freaking normalcy of your routine, okay, and do something a bit different. And when the child is sleeping, that's when you horse, heft, and heave one exercise maybe with as much gusto and as intensity, because you have this urgency. You don't know when the child is waking up, right? So you attack with ferocity. The child wakes up, you tend to their needs, okay? And then later in the day when they fall asleep again, it's just, that's something you would never do if you didn't have a home gym. When you go to the freaking commercial gym, like I've been doing a lot, and then I go back and forth here, I just find that I do way more volume, way more exercises, and not necessarily a good thing. I think that's maybe why you get more tweaks and overuse injuries. Marco Game, okay? So it's, there we go. So he said, personal favorite bodybuilding split, okay? Well, I like doing an upper-lower, okay? I've talked about this before. I like doing an upper-lower where there's one big heavy lift for, so if it would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, let's say that. So you'd be upper, it would be a push emphasis, okay? But you would still pull, but it would be a heavy bench press, for instance, and you would do a bunch of just higher rep stuff after that. But you go heavy as frick on that bench. Tuesday, you would squat, all right? You have a quad emphasis. You would still do some hamstrings, but mostly quad emphasis. Wednesday, you would do pulling, okay? So weighted pull-ups or bench over rows, something heavy, and then do, a lot of pump hypertrophy work for the freaking chest and whatnot, and the arms, of course. And then Thursday would be posterior chain, deadlifts, stiff-legged or RDLs, something along those lines. Glute ham raises, and then you can finish with some, pencil neck, leg extensions, things of that sort. I think I've tried that. That works the best for me versus push-pull legs or like a bro split. Gavrosh the Swift, okay. He says, are you still filming and stuff for American Gladiators? You're still filming? No, that's done, okay. I don't know what there's coming up in the future, perhaps, but as of right now, that's freaking done. And right now, I'm just focusing on getting girthified, okay. How many scoops of jet fuel? Brother, I feel sick right now, nauseous. You know why? Because everything took a little bit longer. I didn't get as much sleep last night. I went to bed earlier because today was the first day of freaking school for the elementary school kids, So I went to bed around 12:30. I got up at 8, set the alarm clock, all right? But I had this freaking anxiety throughout the night. I just couldn't sleep. It was like I took a bunch of series of naps. So I woke up, scarfed down, I'd say 5 scoops. Oh, so much acid reflux. 5 scoops. And I was getting my motor humming, and then I had a freaking scoop of Ricky's Rotund Raspberry because I was planning on horse and hefting and heaving. But then, of course, my wife's like, oh, the cat's claws need to be trimmed. We got to do this now. And that was a whole fiasco. So then we did that, and I'm like, man, I'm running out of time here. I wanted to get a stream with the fellas. So I figured, I'll lift afterwards, but I got freaking, 6 more scoops of Joe in here. It's a lot, okay? Mr. Euphrube, no polo. Listen, I've gotten fancy. I'm dressed up for you guys, though. You know what I mean? Dress for the job you want. I want to answer questions about horse cockery, so I'm going to dress appropriately. Star 45. You're living the dream, bro. Love from Turkey. Wow. See, that's why I'm streaming at this time, right? You know what I mean? You freaking believe 7 hours ahead of me, 7:45 p.m. if I'm not mistaken. Okay, if I was streaming again like I did last time at 10 p.m., you're freaking 5 a.m. right there. Our days off overrated. Chunk Iron Chest. What a name. Listen, days off overrated. Yes, but like easy days overrated? No, absolutely not. You need some easy days. My easy days, I like to do like a arm and delt, okay? Nobody's getting overtrained from doing arms and delts, you know what I'm saying? So I'm talking about be as pencil necked as you want. Calves, arms, delts, calves, freaking neck maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like these things aren't gonna tax you at all. Your nervous system's not getting shot from doing it. And I feel like then it's like your off day, but then you're getting into the little work so that on the big behemoth horsecock days, you can do what really matters. And I think that's important because, like I said, the difference between going to the commercial gym versus your own personal rat's nest is like when you work out at home, you only have so many options. You know what I mean? You can bench, you do pull-ups, freaking deadlift, squats, barbell curls. There's not too much. When you go to the gym, you do those same things because those are the big moneymaker movements, right? But then you're also like, well, let me hit some freaking cable push downs. Let me do some lateral raises. Let me do some preacher curl machine. Why wouldn't you? You got the toys to play with, right? But if you save those toys, that easy stuff, every third day maybe, then I think that you don't really need a true rest day, okay? Or even if you had a true rest day, what I would rather do with that is I would rather freaking go for bike rides, go for a walk, maybe run a mile, right? No one's gonna get dug in the ground in terms of overtraining, doing that kind of stuff. So I can actually take a day where you're not doing anything, I think is truly pencil neck. I don't think anyone needs to actually do that. Mr. M. Kravchenko says, how's the summer been? Have you been able to hit outdoor lifts? Yeah. So I haven't been doing it too much recently, but I was at a point where I was doing it every single day. And this Floridian sun is dangerous levels of ultraviolet radiation. So real fast, I gotta answer this question because I see this. Antonio Mangana, okay? He said Rat or Dockin. I'm gonna go Dockin all day. Rat's got some good freaking hits. You think you're tough? You know what I'm saying? You think you're freaking tough? It's a great song. Obviously, Round and Round is very cookie cutter, but it's got the freaking guitar solo is unbelievable. Dual harmonies. Back from War, sick. You know what I mean? What's the classic riff what is that? God, I'm like drawing a blank right now, but you guys know exactly. I know you don't want to hurt me. Nothing's for me. Nothing design. Lay it down. Boom. Yeah. But then he got freaking Dockin. You know what I'm saying? And Dockin's still cranking out some hits. The Fugitive. In My Dreams. Breaking the Chains. It's Not Love. There's too many to even. It's all good. What's the good? Yeah, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I'll go Dockin all day on that one. Sorry. Yeah. Working out outside is great. Take advantage of it, bros. I'm telling you, that ultraviolet radiation, the pump, it's been proven to enhance nitric oxide production. You know what I'm saying? Production. So you say you're taking some freaking citrulline, you know, a little arginine, freaking glycerol or something. Yeah, you're amplifying that pump, right? But then you go outside in that sunshine, you know what I mean? Just magnifying it. That's why everyone looks a little bit more vascular when they're lifting outside in the sun. Okay? I mean, just got so many questions here. I'm all over the place. What's your go-to high-protein snack or meal when you're in a pickle? Greek yogurt. Okay, and I'll tell you why that is. Okay, I'll tell you, because you can eat it plain, 20 grams of protein per serving. You can eat it freaking plain, or I've been in pickles left and right lately. I've been in a lot of freaking pickles lately. And I'm like, well, frick, I haven't had protein all day. You know what I mean? So you got a couple Greek yogurts. I'm going to eat 2 Greek yogurts, whatever. That's only 40 grams of protein, right? But I could put those freaking Greek yogurts in a shake with 30 grams of protein, okay, 70 with some freaking, 2 servings of milk or whatever. So you'd be 86 grams of protein right there in one shake. So when you're in a pickle, for most people, 2 of those shakes a day, you're good. Oh, a little nut butter, okay, almond butter or peanut butter. Now you're at almost 100 grams of protein. You got to do that. You got to do that. But also, I've just realized, I talked about this the other stream. I mean, freaking cottage cheese, man, is loaded. One little tub of it's like 80 grams of protein. Also, I feel like that's a good pre-workout snack because it's just loaded with sodium too. So you want to talk about bulbous pumps, you scarf that down. He's booging out. We don't do that anymore. We don't boog out anymore. Triple H killed that for me. He killed the Boogs cruise. Thoughts on CrossFit? CrossFit is great, other than like the highly skilled stuff. But I can see how that would be like cool. I guess the problem is because it's so, listen, what makes CrossFit, I feel like, great is what also makes it horrible for some people. Because if you are just an absolute pencil neck and you're trying to do power clean or clean to press for freaking time, 30 reps or whatever as fast as you can. If you're pencil necked in nature, glass back by nature, of course you're going to get hurt, right? And if you don't have perfect form, but like doing high rep clean and presses are going to get you horse cocked, right? Weighted pull-ups are going to get you horse cocked. Running with a freaking weighted vest on is going to get you stack jacked, just incredible work capacity. You know what I mean? So like is it good or is it bad? I think it's good. Now the problem is you're limited by your horse cockery basically, because you never really have to go, I guess in the competitions though, there's like deadlift competition and max clean and press or something. I don't know. I'm not a huge CrossFit guru, but like all this stuff they do, all the movements they do are, colossal money-making movements, right? There's just too much emphasis on like volume, testing how fast you can do it all. Therefore, people try to cut corners, and that's why the pull-ups become kipping pull-ups and the dips become kipping dips and whatnot. But like nobody can say that it's freaking easy. I think you just have to be a certain level of stoutness probably to get, like if I did CrossFit right now, I would imagine I'd become twice the man I am because my work capacity and conditioning would improve so much. And like I have a good amount, I've got a good ceiling for horse cockery, you know what I mean? Of course I want to build on that, but yeah, okay. And this is Lighting and Capital says he likes the gym too. He's there for hours. I mean, that's the thing with the gym. Sometimes I'm there for 3 hours. Because it's freaking fun. I don't want to stop. I want to keep horse hefting and heaving. But then I want to come back the next day because I don't like taking days off. You know what I mean? That's where you get yourself in a tricky, sticky situation. Yggdrasil NC, can hip thrusts be a horse cock movement? Absolutely. You kidding me? You can go 1,000 pounds you can work up to. There was I saw some clip of there was some powerlifting competition and there was some just stacked and jacked woman, and she did like 900 and some pounds on the hip thrust. And I'm like, why do we not do this for us male specimens? Like, why are we not, if the women are almost getting 1,000 pounds, like if the guys truly focus on it, what do you think what do you think Hafthor Bjornsson can horsecock on the hip thrust? 1,400? You know what I mean? Frickin' Megal Banana, okay? Or Mega Banana. What I think of German volume training? I think it's good I think if you're in a pickle, it's good. I've done it at times when I'm in a pickle and like, frick, that was the best thing I could have done. 10 sets of 10 with bench and pull-ups or something with 45 minutes or 45-minute rest, 45-second rest or so. That's pretty solid. You get a good workout and you get a voluptuous pump. You feel like you really did something special. But to do that like every day for months on end, I feel like you're going to plateau very hard. I just don't believe, you know what I mean? And a lot of people ask me about programs. Just last week, somebody asked me about freaking 5x5. And it was just kind of the same answer. Like, you know, I talked about like, listen, I think this is a great program to do for about a month, but you're going to plateau so hard. You're doing 3 or 4 exercises, 5x5, 3 days a week. So you're doing these almost the same exercises 3 days a week. 3, 6, so you're 9, 18, 27, 36 sets. I'm an idiot. Wait, what am I even talking about here? Of 5x5. Like you're just gonna I think that's why like if I would prefer 5-3-1, you know, the 5-3-1 program, because at least it's 5 sets of 5 and then 3 sets of 3 and then 3 sets of 1, like week to week to week. Like I feel like there's just so much more room for growth doing that as opposed to just being stuck in that 5x5 rep range, which is a great rep range. But like I just don't like how people it's like, what rep range? I think that people overthink the rep ranges and stuff. Like whenever I lift with people, how many scoops have I sucked down today? I'm probably 10. I'm going on 10 and pre-workout, which is, you know, with 1 can of beans in me. Because cans of beans, complex carbohydrates. Can of beans is about 25 grams of protein, right? And in the morning, it's very bland, nice and salt. It's good, all right? $1 a can too, garbanzos or black beans or pinto beans. You get the mixed freaking beans for $1. It's probably the best deal you're gonna get for complex carbs, quality protein source. But anyways, these rep ranges, anytime I work out with people, they're always just like blown away by the fact that I keep going heavier and heavier and heavier. And you hit a kind of a grinding single on something, like the Viking press, you know, one arm. It's kind of like slow. And it's like, I throw another 25 on it. So another 25? It's like, yeah, why wouldn't I? Like, it's a Viking press machine. Like, what's the worst thing that can happen? Just like, then you can't do it. But then what did you do? You did a freaking heavy isometric. Oh, I feel like nauseous. I'm gonna puke. Oh, too many sucking cups of crystals, you know? Like, why wouldn't you do that? Now, I would understand if you're doing heavy squat, maybe. It's a bit more risky. Heavy barbell bench. You know what I mean? If it's like a slow grinder, you probably shouldn't go up. Maybe then you should strip some weight off and then do an AMRAP. But like for a thing like a deadlift or an overhead press where even like a barbell, if you freaking unrack it, it's just like, that's it. You can't do it. It's just, that's it. I don't think anyone's getting hurt on, especially like a Viking press. There's certain moves, especially machines, like throw some freaking more weight on until you can't move it anymore, right? And then, like say on a pulling machine, if you can't pull it all the way back, that's okay. Keep pulling weight on because you can freaking, you know, feel that sucker. Or even put more weight on it. So it's just it's like an overcoming freaking isometric, right? And then you strip it and you're like, oh my God, I got 3 more reps with that top set. Okay, my toast and jam. It says, what's more important for lifting, technique or attitude? Technique, bro. Or frick, I'm sorry, what a pencil neck. What was that? Pencil neck. No, I meant to say like, as long as you have any technique, the attitude is gonna be the most important. Absolutely. It's like what program is the best and all that. It's your attitude. It's your mindset. It's not your program. It's not your program. It's not your program. Okay? It's how you could do the same exercise every day and make great gains if you got the freaking killer instinct attitude to just hammer it as hard as you can every single day. Is that the best program? I mean, you're going to peak specificity. You're going to peak the strength for that particular movement. But then what about the other muscle groups? Like, listen, if you're getting super strong in a squat or a deadlift or an overhead press, like you're not going to freaking atrophy everywhere else. You know what I mean? This is a singular unit. Horse-cocking big loads is a systemic effect, right? Yog Drazel, MC. You put me on a safety bar squats, feels like there's more full body recruitment. It's different even from front squats. Well, it is. It absolutely is different from front squats. First of all, you don't have to worry about this thing or do this pencil neck technique. You can just you grab those handles and you can honestly like pec fly. You can crush it. So you can even get your and you can pull it in. So you get lats and pecs. And then if your back like rounds a lot, like a front squat, you would dump it. Like you can grind out a rounded back, but due to the way the weight pitches you forward, it's a hybrid between a front squat and a back squat. You know, it's a great freaking movement, man. Mike Robertson, 9938. Have you ever listened to the thrash band Deliverance? They have a song called Solitude, 2 solos in it. They're some of the best I've ever heard. I mean, it sounds familiar, but I can't say off the top of my head I've heard it. And if I obviously have, clearly I didn't listen to it enough to remember it. So that's a great little tidbit there. Solitude by Deliverance. All right, that's for the fellas. Hopefully Mike doesn't let us down. Sometimes I've had people recommend songs like, you gotta check this one out. You know, I'll turn it off after 5 seconds. Like, that's not it for me, brother. That ain't doing it. You know, that's the thing about music. It's different strokes for different freaking folks. Rufus the Rat, frick. Any tips on how to increase my range of motion to get my arms under the barbell for my Zercher deadlifts? My heels always want to raise when I squat down. Yeah, from deadlifting off the floor. Well, here's the thing. Once you become more bulbous, you're just going to lose that ability. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've kind of realized that because all that thickness, I mean, obviously I've probably lost mobility as well. But like, well, tips to get underneath it. So then what I would do if I were you is, first of all, I would put it on some blocks to get underneath it first and do it that way. But also, like, you got to hang out in that position. It's like squatting. It's like when you first start goblet squatting, you freaking take the dumbbell or the kettlebell, you just squat, you hold it in a deep squat for as long as you can, like a minute or so. So for the Zercher, you got to get yourself to the point where you can get your elbows underneath it and then just hold yourself in that deep. So that's going to stretch out those specific muscles the perfect way possible. Specificity. It's like you want to get strong in a movement, you do the freaking movement. In this case, you want to get the mobility to get underneath that barbell. You got to get underneath that barbell, okay? And that means that if it's a freaking, you know, if you got to elevate it this much at first, so be it. But then eventually you're going to this much at first, so then this much, and then this much, and then this much. And it's like anything else. Flexibility is just like strength. It takes time. It takes work. It takes freaking commitment. It takes freaking persistence. Okay? Frick. All right. Tom Cruise, welcome to the chat. I need to drink yerba mate. He says green teas for pencil necks. Well, yeah, but the tons of theobromine, minerals, polyphenols, brew in a French press, cold, hot. That sounds too pencil-like to me, brother. We're talking temperatures now, 140 to 170. Stopped coffee 17 years ago, sucked down sweet, bitter earth. I mean, I do agree. Yes, I've done that for a while. Yerba mate, back in the day. Loose leaf teas. I had a gallon jug, and I would just dump loose leaf in the jug. So it's just a huge, just debris everywhere in the water bottle. But yeah, I mean, you can make anything intense, you know? Sticky Riggy, do you and Mama still eat mostly vegetarian, vegan? Well, Mama is a vegan. I mean, obviously I've been, you know, tuna is my go-to right now. Tuna and the Greek yogurts, like, it's just too cost-effective, and with the probiotics, you know what I mean, of the Greek yogurt and like the cottage cheese or whatnot. If I do that, I usually do Greek yogurt though. But other than that, I mean, yeah, we'll have eggs from time to time. Not too much. I mean, it's some people think it's pencil necked, but like my cholesterol is like unbelievable. And I know it doesn't mean too much, but we're super low, right? And I want to say back in the day, I can't remember. I didn't get my cholesterol checked, 10 years ago when I was doing a gallon of whole milk every single day and whatnot. But I don't know. It's kind of one of those things, like, it's not broke. I know it's broken, but the freaking saying is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I just feel like I'm girthy enough, and like everyone in my family dies of heart disease. some people say dietary cholesterol and whatnot doesn't affect your body's cholesterol, you know, but it's just one of those things where it's like my cholesterol is really freaking good. I don't think I want to change anything. I want to keep doing what I'm doing because, when I was in WWE, people would be like, oh, how's your cholesterol? And everyone's just like through the freaking roof, especially the people that did carnivore, keto stuff, so high. Like, but that's how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be 400 LDL. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. Whether it's supposed to be or not, I don't think that's a good thing, right? Whereas my LDL is like 70, It's pretty good. Or maybe even lower. I can't remember. I'll have to pull it up. Should try 36 eggs a day. Okay, that's exactly... I've done a dozen for a long time. I definitely didn't see any like noticeable gains. You know what I'm talking about? So I don't know if 36, that's the old school freaking Vince Gironda. But I feel like back then, you could never know if it was like a sales pitch. Not a sales pitch, I'm sorry, a gimmick. Like just a gimmick to get attention. Like, no wonder I'm not as big as Lou Ferrigno. I'm not taking 36 eggs a day. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's one of those things where, for instance, the gallon of milk, it works. And that's why people still recommend it from time to time. Not as much, though, but like that was a very popular thing. The 36 eggs a day, like, you only hear of that from people like, oh, wow, did you know back in the day that was a diet that Vince Gironda? It's like nobody's doing that. I don't know. It doesn't sound like it's that hard, though. But I don't know, 36, 3 dozen eggs a day. I feel like you just need some variety to your diet, 36 eggs. But if you consumed anything in copious amounts, though, you'd probably gain weight. That's just a shit ton of eggs. You know what I mean? You could have, I should start a fad of like 4 jars of peanut butter a day. You can't say you're not going to get huge. You know what I mean? Or like, yeah, because it's just a shit ton of calories. Carlax TV deadlift day, PR 350. I'm going for 360. Any words? Yeah, don't even overthink it. Horsecock it. If you're going to lift with somebody, have them slip some extra weight on. But then if you're telling them that it defeats the whole purpose. But I'm saying, like, it's all in your head. Okay? I had someone else write me saying that their max was 5'10". And they went to a different gym that they didn't normally lift at. And they had, like, I think this gym had, like, 55-pound plates that the person didn't realize. It was something like that. You know what I mean? 25 kilos. So they had, like, a couple of those 55-pounders on, thinking they were 45. And they hit their freaking, what they thought was their PR, or like I think they thought it was 515 or something. It ended up being like 560. Now, keep in mind, they said their all-time best before that was 510. So they ended up throwing 50 extra pounds on by accident. They could do it. And it's not to say like it's going to be that simple. Like, oh, just throw 100 extra pounds on and I'll lift it. But my point is, like, if it's a difference of 5 pounds, 10 pounds, a lot of times it's just purely mental. That's why you just got to find a way to get out of your head and look at it as just another warm-up set. And you're going to just fucking attack it and you're going to kill it. Right? It's that simple. Like, I know, like, it's that simple. Just attack it. Don't even think about it. Like, of course, when you're putting the weights on, you're thinking about it, especially when the warm-up sets are feeling hard. But I will say sometimes you can't go off of the warm-ups alone. Like yesterday, I'm kind of getting back into horse cockery. Everyone's like, oh, you got to get the hernia checked out. You're just being stupid, whatever. I don't know if it's a hernia, first and foremost. I'm red lighting the shit out of it. I found my massage gun. I'm massage gunning the adductors. I'm trying to see if that's going to help a little bit. But anyways, the Viking press machine, it's you can go unilateral. So I went up to, it would have been 520 total pounds in the thing. So obviously, what is it, 260, whatever? Yeah, 260 per arm. So I had it at a point where it was like 210 per arm. And it was like a grinder. And then I'm like, well, put another 25 on, right? It's like a grinder. And it's like, I'm just, for shits and giggles, I'm going to put one more 25 on. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, don't underestimate your freaking ability to horse, heft, and heave the biggest freaking weights. Like, it's, obviously you got to be smart. If it's a movement that could hurt you, you got to be a little bit more careful about. But like what I'm saying, when it comes to machines or like overhead presses, deadlifts, for instance, like as long as you're not like yanking the shit out of it, like you're going to, you grab that sucker, you grip it, freaking hoist it as hard as you can. If you don't get it, what's the worst that happened? It got a few inches off, it got 5 inches off the ground. Well, that's probably 5 inches more than you've got. You've never tried that way before, so 5 inches off the ground is still a freaking PR. It's all mindset. You know what I'm saying? It's all perspective. So now next time if you go to do it, say you fail, you're like, damn it, I didn't do it again. Careful, because maybe you moved it 7 inches this time, right? So every little freaking extra inch you move it is better than what you've done in the past. So that's another way to look at it. Everyone's always looking at it like, oh, did I complete the rep or did I not? Who cares? If you are putting more weight than you've ever put on the bar before, that's a freaking PR. Because the hardest part of hitting a PR, of going for a bigger weight, is freaking just going for it. Most people never do that, too scared. They're like, I don't think I can do it. Well, frick, not with that attitude. But if you put the freaking weight on and you try, especially if you're at the commercial gym and people are looking at you and they're watching you, you got that extra pressure, you're probably gonna move it a little bit. Even 1 inch off the ground is better than you've ever done before. So don't think you have to lock it out. It's all or nothing, you know? Have I ever tried GoMad? Or what the frick? Is this a real question, bro? You're asking me if I've ever tried GoMad or no anyway? I did GoMad for freaking 12 years. Yeah. It's 21. I think I was 21 when I started it. Gained like 20 pounds. Unbelievable. Kept doing it until I was like 33, I think. So yeah, 12 years. Had my brother do it as well when I was like, oh my God, you got to try this. It's crazy. He gained 20 pounds as well. Had all the wrestlers on the wrestling team in college, like when I was doing strength and conditioning, like you gotta just suck. You got a gallon of milk. You're gonna do these freaking deadlifts. You're gonna squat. You're gonna Xerxes squat, right? They got all too big for their weight class. Coach got pissed at me. He's like, wait, these guys are getting too big. They're not gonna be a big weight. Literally, that's literally what they said to me. I was in trouble for them getting too jacked and stacked. Any tips to strengthen your lower back? Deadlifts seem to be injuring me above 400 pounds. You know, it's not just your lower back, though. Don't look at it that way. It's not just your lower back. You got to get your abs stronger and your obliques stronger. It's your brace and your lats. Your lats run into your hips. Like strong lats, strong abs, strong obliques. You strengthen those and don't even touch your lower back, I bet your deadlift's going to feel a lot more locked in and stronger. But if it truly is a matter of like your low back is weak, just do back extensions like every other day. I think that's, you know what I mean? Because if you're deadlifting once a week, even if you're deadlifting twice a week, you should be doing back extensions, I think, 3 to 4 times a week. It's just body. It's like pull-ups. You can do pull-ups every single day. You can do push-ups every single day. Back extensions are no different. You can do back extensions every single day. As long as you don't put a freaking 400-pound barbell on your back or you're doing the freaking ones, you know what I mean? Just like body weight up to like a 45-pound plate, you can do that every day. Look at that the same way as you would look at any like prehab, rehab type of stuff. Recovery tips for a tweaked wrist. So what I would do for that is I would just do sorts of, you know what I mean? It's like any strain. Dave Tate gave me great advice, okay? Because I had my bicep. And this was great advice he gave me. Because I had my bicep. I'm like, damn, man, what do I do? Like, it hurts when he's like, well, you just got to find something that's, you know, uncomfortable but doesn't hurt and just keep doing it, right? Because, like, for instance, like my bicep. I was avoiding it for months. I wasn't doing curls for months. Or I was just doing hammer curl because that didn't bother my bicep. But the supinated curl hurt my bicep. Because, you know, whenever I did barbell curls, I would always like, for me, I was always like, I got to go to at least to 2 plates, you know? So I just ditched that mindset. I'm like, listen, stop trying to be a dumbass horsecock. Strip him to just an empty barbell, or not much, 95 pounds total, like a 25 on each side. And just go tons of high reps, right? And then the second you start to get a little bit of like pain signal, you back off and you're done for the day. And you just do that. A little exposure, tendon exposure, or like, yeah, joint exposure. Just exposing it to a little bit of freaking tension, but nothing that hurts it. So like I would just do all sorts of like the wrists. So you could do the bucket of rice, right? You do the bucket of rice and you're stirring your hand around. So you got to get a deep bucket, you know, buy one giant bag of rice and just freaking move your hand around in the rice. It's not a ton of resistance, but it's enough to get blood flowing in there, and that should help you, right? Or you could just take like a 5-pound plate. That's something else I used to do at the gym before I benched because I was getting tendonitis. So I just grab one of those 5s or so, and I would just do like 100 reps. 100 reps, like so, 100, you know what I mean? And then just do like circles or so for like 50 or 100 with the plate. And that gets you pumped. It's only 5 pounds too, but it's not about, you're not trying to build bulbous tissue in this case. You're just trying to get blood flow. Blood flow is the freaking medicine, man. The oxygen, the nutrients. That's why tendons and ligaments don't heal, because they don't get as much blood flow. You just got to find ways to crank those suckers. 3 months ago, I went hiking. I was so gassed out. I focused on high intensity intervals now as my body feels nice, but I am afraid of becoming a pencil neck. Love from Greece. All right, Greece reporting in. But if you're horsing weight still, you're not gonna become a pencil neck. You're probably just gonna get more stripped and ripped. But like the thing is, so many people said this, and at the time I was like, I don't know if I believe that. It seems too simple to be true. But it's like, if you're not losing strength, you're not losing muscle. You know what I mean? People say that, and it's kind of a fine line, because there's something called like neurological efficiency. You know what I mean? Like your CNS can get more efficient, stronger with certain movements. So you can lose strength by just not training. You're becoming less efficient with the movement. But if you're doing the movement frequently and you're not losing substantial, 10, 20, 30 pounds off of strength or whatever, you probably have around the same muscle. Maybe it's just going to be a little deflated, right? Because you're doing more activity, so you have less like glycogen full muscle bellies. But I wouldn't be too caught up in that. I mean, honestly, I would keep doing the hiking, feel good about it. You feel better. Feeling better is going to get you farther than like being big, bulbous, and feeling like shit. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people, including myself, that's what you pursued. Like, just get as big as possible. You feel terrible, and then eventually everything suffers, because like if you feel terrible, you don't have any energy. So when you're going to the gym, your sessions kind of suck, or you're gassing out, so you're not being able to get as much work in as if you're in better shape, but you're not quite as big, but you're getting more work in. I think you're going to make better progress if you're in better shape and have better work capacity. And can recover quicker between your sets, obviously. You're getting more bang for your buck at the gym. So look at it that way. Don't look at it as becoming a pencil neck, right? Look at it as that is a catalyst to becoming bigger, more bulbous, and freakier than you've ever been in your life. Yes. Okay, you think the lifting community is returning to hoisting heavy weight, or is it evolving to something new, like using digital lifting? No, I think the digital lifting machines, that's going to be very forced. That's going to be an agenda from, financial gain. It's going to be, that's what companies are doing. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'll give you $10,000 if you post about this digital machine. So a lot of people are going to be like, $10,000, hell yeah, I'll post about it, right? So you're going to start seeing this weird stuff popping up more and more, but it's going to be purely just a freaking agenda of these companies, right? The hoisting the hefty loads is always going to be cool. First and foremost, because I think as human beings, okay, we're all competitive by nature too. So like, I've learned this a long time ago. Like and this is just how people are. That's why when you see a strong guy, you ask, hey, how much can you bench? You're not asking like, oh, how much did you do on the freaking digital hoist contraption? Nobody cares, right? It's not standardized, but like, it's always gonna be cool to have a strong bench, a strong deadlift, a strong squat, a strong overhead press, strong pull-ups, because these are things that everyone can relate to them. Not everyone's going to be able to afford a $10,000 digital machine. So if it's cool, people are going to keep doing it. But also, it's not just cool, it's effective, right? So it's never going to go out of style. It's just everything you see, I think on like YouTube and stuff, or on freaking social media in general, it's going to be purely fads. Somebody else said that. It's all gonna be fads. It's just trying to, buzzworthy shit, because it's like, oh, it's new. If this person's got something new I've never heard before, I better pay attention to what they're saying. But it's gonna die out. That's what I'm saying about like the 36 eggs a day. I mean, you don't really hear too many people talking about it, so it's probably not that great, right? Whereas the gallon of milk, you hear more people talking about it. Not a lot, not anymore. I think there's just there's so many options now in terms of food's so easy to get and whatnot. But like back in the day, that probably was more of a staple. Everyone had a neighbor who had a cow or something, Let's see. Most upper body exercises use shoulder. I don't know. That's even the question. Have you ever had sciatica issues? Any helps of? No, not sciatica per se. SI joint stuff. I found that like stretching, you got to do it. I think that some people, when they hurt their backs and deadlifting, walking is the best thing you can do, right? I think a lot of people, like, if they have a back injury, they like lay in bed all day and stuff, or like, because it hurts, everything hurts. So it's just like laying in bed, it can loosen up. But I think walking is very corrective. We all know this. So like, if your back is feeling fricked up, you just need to start going for like a morning walk, a night walk, like loosen it up a little bit. I think it's the easiest thing you can do. And you gotta start stretching your hips out too, and your obliques. I found that sometimes, like, there was one point I was getting a lot of like, I feel like SI joint pain, back pain. And then I just really started like stretching my obliques out. And I found that helped. So that's what I'm saying too, when people are like, ooh, my back hurts. Is there any tips to strengthen my lower back? It's like, it might not be your lower back, it might be your obliques. They might just be super tight too. Like, it's crazy. There's so many, like, listen, we are like freaking cars. We're automobiles. You do the diagnostic check, you might think it's one thing, but there's, 5 other issues that are going on at the same time. The Nike track pants. Everyone wants to know about those. You're talking about the basketball windbreakers. I need them to add 200 pounds to my Zercher. I got those at Dick's Sporting Goods like 6 years ago. And then I was like, man, these pants are sick. Where can I get more of these? And they were impossible to find. I guess on eBay. I think they were called like Nike basketball windbreaker. I don't know why basketball. I don't think basketball players wear those, but that's what they were called, I believe. Oh, frick. What do I think about Pavel Tsutsouline or whatever? It's freaking great. That's the first reason I ever started deadlifting every day, was because first and foremost, Pavel was the one that coined greasing the groove, I believe. And that whole thing was, if you could do 10 pull-ups, then only when you have a pull-up bar underneath your bathroom door or something, every time you go to the bathroom, you do 5 pull-ups, right? You never go to 10, never max it out. You just exposure, high frequency exposure. Going to take a piss, 5 pull-ups, right? Got to freaking take a dump, 5 pull-ups. So that at the end of the day, you've gotten, 40 pull-ups in, but you've done it in a way where it's not like too fatiguing. And then also he was big with the kettlebell swings as well. And, I know a couple horsecocks that, because I asked at one point, because I got a big kettlebells, but I was like, should I get the T handle? You know what I mean? Because you can load that thing up to 300 pounds or so. Because even a 200-pound kettlebell is like, you can do too many reps with it. But I guess that's kind of the point as well, be explosive. But the T handle, you don't have to buy a kettlebell. Kettlebells are expensive, right? If you're buying 10 different kettlebells, you got to warm up with light pencil-like weight. You got to work up to horsecock weight. It's a big expense unless you get the T handle. And I think I asked the question at one point, and I had several very strong people, like 800-pound deadlifters, like, oh, I use that thing all the time to, peak my power. It's kind of like doing a lot of athletes or gurus or so do like explosive work, med ball push, explode, toss in the med ball as hard as you can to fire up the CNS. And I think it would be the same thing with like the kettlebell swing as well. I used to do that a lot back when I did all those behind the back deadlifts. I used to always warm up with kettlebell swings. I guess I just became a pencil neck in a way. I don't know. I'm like, why would I do that now when I can just hoist bigger loads? But I think there's magic to it. Not to say you should go out and waste your money on kettlebells, but if you gym, a lot of gyms have kettlebells now. So I would just look at it as it's a good way to warm up and get the glutes freaking pumped. Grease that hip hinge groove. All right, I'm on the Mount Rushmore of philosophers. Was there anyone who had a major influence on your mindset? Mindset. Well, I mean, the mindset. Listen, I don't know, man. I mean, how far are we even going back? Conan the Barbarian, I bought that VHS when I was 7 years old, which is crazy. Nowadays, kids would never be able to do that. But I walked to Best Buy with a freaking, $10 bill or something. At 7 years old, and I bought Conan the Barbarian, rated R movie, right? It's very graphic, lots of, it's bloodshed and stuff. And I saw Arnold, and he's jacked, stacked. It's frick, this guy's awesome. He-Man, Dolph Lundgren, that was also another one of my favorite movies back then. He-Man, Skeletor, you know what I mean? So that probably shaped what I wanted to be when I grew up. I wanted to be He-Man or Skeletor. I also wanted to be a fish monster for some reason when I was a kid. I prayed to become a fish monster. So thank God my prayers were not answered. Can you imagine? But then like the lifting. So the Pavel, that kind of goes hand in hand. The Pavel was with the grease in the groove. That's kind of got me to what deadlift. I'm like, well, if you can do pull-ups every day and you can do kettlebell swings, why wouldn't I freaking try deadlifts, right? And then I noticed that, like, hey, honestly, I don't really need tons of days off from doing it. I'm getting stronger and stronger, right? And then it was after like attempting PRs, then failing, but like having been so freaking strict to like not give up. Like, damn it, I have to hit this. I have to. Just a young lad, just driven to, for whatever reason, to hit some weight. Failing 3 times and then hitting it, and just kind of realizing, like, through experience, like, man, it is really a freaking mindset. Dolph Lundgren, genetic anomaly, absolutely, man. He's like a scientist, researcher, doctor, just absolute freaking cyborg of a man. Plus he's the best He-Man. I didn't watch that new He-Man. I refuse to watch that new He-Man movie. If it ain't Dolph Lundgren, get the frick out. Okay? Times have changed. Now it's some pretty boy. I guess Dolph Lundgren was a pretty boy too. Who are we kidding? The prettiest of boys. Okay, yeah. There's so many questions. I don't want to go back. I'm gonna miss everyone's questions, though, let's be honest. Let's see. It's my sacrifice. How to program free weight rows, squats, and deadlift variations in the same program. My lower back is hurting when all those 3 are free weight. It's pretty simple. I'd say that's pretty simple. What I would do is this is kind of what worked for me well back in the day. You start with a squat. You don't go heavy on the squat, right? You just do what's comfortable. Work up to a comfortably decent squat. From there, you deadlift, because now your leg drive should be peaked the frick up. The squat requires tremendous core strength and bracing. So now when you grab the deadlift, you're gonna be fired up. You're gonna feel great. And then after your deadlift gets pretty hard, that's when you freaking just do your rows too. So I would keep those all in the same day. Right? Because, yeah, if you did a heavy deadlift day, and then you're trying to do heavy squat, and you're trying to do heavy rows too, like, I can see how you're taking a whooping, and it'd be hard to recover. But if you just start with the squat, and then sometimes, and that's how a lot of people do it too, I believe. You do a squat and a deadlift in the same session, you just kind of rotate which one you're going full meat and potatoes with, right? So if you go a light squat, that warms you up for the deadlift, go freaking balls to the wall in the deadlift, and afterwards do your rows. And then a different day, say the next time you do that, go freaking full ham bone on the squat, and then just do some like light Romanian deadlifts or something. Focus on the stretch, right? Yeah, that's what I would do. And then you could do like a pendulay row too, if you wanted to give your lower back more of a rest, since you would be doing a Romanian deadlift. But I don't think, if you're going hard on deadlifts, I don't think you need to do bent over rows. That's just personally my experience. It's very similar muscle groups. You're just not doing the contraction, right? But I would rather just go full freaking gusto on a chest-supported row or a dumbbell row, something where you're bracing, because you've already done the freaking core work with doing the squats and the deadlifts. But if you want to throw it in there, that's how I would do it. Oh, thank you for being my friend. Do you sauna or ice bath? Okay, that's a good question. I've done the ice bath many times, well before it was a fad, because in college, which back in my day, I was like, ice bath, holy buckets, what is this? It was a it's a very new concept back then, right? It's like, it was one of those things where it was like, I'm not gonna ice, you only ice your ankles and whatnot. But I've done it, and it gives you a burst of energy, okay? That's why a lot of people are like, oh, do it in the morning, kick off your day feeling great. It does definitely give you a freaking, just huge burst of good feeling energy, okay? But it never made me feel like I recovered better, okay? And I never felt like, it made me energetic, but it never made me feel like, ooh, all my soreness is gone. Now, the hot tub on the other end, that is amazing. I do recommend heat. I think heat is better than the cold. The cold is good for what it is. I think, if anything, I would do cold before I lift or something, especially if you're with the summer months, you know what I mean? Because a lot of times, too, when the body's overheating, everything feels harder than it really is. I find when I work out outside, I'm like, God, why do I feel so tired? I hardly did anything. Versus when you go to the gym and it's air conditioning, you do 100 exercises. That heat kicks your arse, right? But that cold, like, that cools your body off for a pretty substantial amount of time. But the heat makes everything better, right? And also with the cold, the nerd research, apparently it like slows down the growth, you know what I mean? Like, you want those inflammatory responses, and the cold is taking that away. So like, you're not gonna see as much bulbous growth if you're using the cold tub after you lift. Whereas that heat might be exasperating, might be even better for growth. But more so why I like it is because it gets everyone feeling loosey-goosey. And then you should be stretching when you're in a sauna or a hot tub. And then, you know what I mean? Like, if you're freaking tight and maybe stretching is uncomfortable. You go in that extreme heat, now all of a sudden you're freaking the rubber band man. You're Gumby, you know what I mean? And sometimes all it takes is that little like, oh, I feel pretty good. And if you're going to be in the heat anyways, you might as well stretch. So it's a catalyst for stretching. That's how I see it. Oh, thank you for being my friend. What is it? I can't. Have I tried instant coffee? Tanner! Is that a real question? It's, yeah. I've sucked down 20 scoops of Folgers Crystals on video at one point. And I feel like I should take that video down because I did meet a guy at the gym. He's like, you almost killed me with that instant coffee. And I was like, I think I said on the video, don't do this. Don't try this. But apparently he was younger at the time, so he thought he could keep up with Dick Del Hagen. And I think he said his head hurt so bad that he went to the hospital or something, which I could see because I had the same thing. My head hurt so bad when I couldn't believe the energy. Like, it was like anything I've ever felt before. But if you think about it, it might have been 2,000 milligrams of caffeine. But my head hurt so bad, I did think I was going to have an aneurysm or something. So I might have to take that video down because nobody should do that, including myself. I don't care how desensitized you are to caffeine. You shouldn't do that, right? If you need 2,000 milligrams of caffeine, you got to lay off a little bit, you know. How to hoist heavy loads with D1 wrestling training. Wow, you got a freaking powerhouse scrapper in the house. Okay, well, good for you. First and foremost, where do you wrestle, Lil Shrekky? That's easy. I actually know how to do that because I had to experience that myself. This is how you do it. Because your freaking strength and conditioning program. Frick! Oh, okay. Your strength and conditioning program is they're going to do what they're going to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not going to listen to you. You're not going to be like, hey, but I need a hoist. They're going to you do the freaking workout, okay? Because that's how it is. You're an athlete. You're a freaking soldier, right? So what I found works best for me, because strength and conditioning is always going to be in the morning usually. Yeah, it would be, if your program's having strength and conditioning in the afternoon and practice in the morning, that's stupid because you're going to be so freaking tired. So what I found works is doing one heavy lift before going to practice, okay? And it works unbelievably well because you're getting your nervous system fired the hell up. And then when you go scrap, you feel so much stronger. Plus, one heavy lift is not gonna really tax anything, you know? And it should only take you about 20 to 30 minutes. So that's what I would do. I would hoist like a rack pull or like a pin press or something, and then I would just go straight to practice. I would freaking hoist up to a 1 rep, top set, and I'd hop in the car and drive to practice. And then practice would feel so much better. And I wouldn't be tired. If anything, I'd be energized for practice. Now, if I was doing a full 2-hour workout or whatever, I'd go to practice feeling horrible, right? But that's the way you get that team lift in the morning. This goes for all sports. You get that team lift in the morning, and then you obviously have class and stuff when you can. Or if you don't have time to go to a gym or if you don't have anything at your house to lift, I'm sure your team has a weight room, right? Probably by your wrestling room, or there might be a gym there. I would just do something really fast. So that was also another thing too. Our wrestling room had like a little strength section, right? So I would do something. And then if anything, you're showing up early too, and you're showing freaking commitment and passion. So then the coach is like, my God, this guy freaking wants it. And I'm telling you, being in the coach's favor is never a bad thing. Being out of their favor is always a bad thing. You want to be on their good side. Is it still safe to get jacked with heart disease? I mean, I would probably, it's not to say you shouldn't lift, but God, I don't want to give you, I'm not a doctor, so I probably shouldn't be giving you medical advice, but the way that I see it is you should probably get one of those freaking, if I had like diagnosed heart disease, and it's like, you got to be careful. I think the problem is straining your heart too much. So probably what I would do if you were newly diagnosed with it, this isn't medical advice, but I would probably do like circuits just to start, and I would keep my freaking eyes on, I would get one of those like Whoops or whatever the frick, or like a Fitbit or something like that. and just make sure your heart rate's not going astronomically too high, because that's the whole point, right? Is that your heart's not strong enough to keep up with that. So I would probably just do kind of pencil neck circuits at first, and then just slowly kind of ramp those up into heavier weights eventually if all is good. But like, it's kind of like the same thing as like when you have an injury. It's like, can I still horsecock if I have an injury? Somebody said zone 2. Let me see, what was that comment? Zone 2 cardio for heart. Yeah. So basically, you turn your workout, your lifting into zone 2 cardio, basically. You know what I mean? Just whatever, respectable, not super heavy lat pull downs. You know, superset with that with some freaking bench and then some push downs, right? And then go back, just giant set circuit training. Like, that's what we did in college wrestling a lot of times when the coaches would want to practice, because it gets you in shape, you know what I mean? It'll build your stamina, it'll keep your muscles working, you won't atrophy to the max. And then as you get more and more in shape, maybe you can crank those weights a little bit more. But it depends what your goals are. If it's just getting jacked and stacked, there's so many guys like back in the day, granted, you know, who knows what they were taking and stuff, but a lot of them just did circuit training and like all had pretty freaking good physiques. So like, I don't think you need to horsecock mega loads, getting your blood pressure up to 300 over 200, top set, eyes, capillaries exploding. That's cool, but I don't think it's necessary. So I would do circuit training, and I feel like that would only be good for you, because basically you're just doing cardio then. You know, just find a way to turn your freaking lifting into cardio at first. 2 birds. That's what I would do. If I had to get like in really good shape and I couldn't strain my heart too much, I would just do circuit training. And I just repeated that like 8 times. But yes. Frick, I lost my train of thought. Damn it. Upload the old video about keeping your teeth clenched. Is that not uploaded? Oh, maybe not. Yeah. Wow, what is that, from 2016 maybe? 2015? Yeah, great memory. Rudy for Rudius. Have you heard of that individuals with ADHD experience a paradoxical? I have heard that, actually. You know, and I can tell you with certainty that caffeine I think it helps. It gets me freaking feeling good. I will say this, though. Have I seen Quinn Stotts? I have. He's absurdly strong. I just hope he understands that, like, he's got to don't do too stupid of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I see some stuff, and I'm going to answer this, don't worry. But, like, he's freaking super strong and fast, right? But he's doing the squats, and he's rotating the bar around his back. Like, I just don't see, that's just purely a circus trick. Like, some lifts you do, it's like, well, it's a circus lift. And it's like, yeah, it's cool. I think it's cool. But, like, that one, it's purely, brother, I mean, what good is going to come out of that? You know what I mean? Other than doing a pause squat. You're doing a pause squat because you have to spin the bar around your back. But how much can go wrong with that? And is that really leading to anything? You know what I mean? Whereas at least like a Jefferson deadlift and stuff, it's like, oh, it's a stupid circus lift. It's like, yeah, but you're still lifting a lot of weight. But that's like, I feel like that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, and then I also seem to do like ultra heavy box squat jumps, or not box squat jumps, but like box jumps, whatever the frick. It's just like, oof. Dude, that kind of stuff is gambling, you know what I mean? Like, you might stick it, or you might miss, you might blow your Achilles tendon out. You know, it's just like, there's too much risk with that kind of stuff. Yeah. But anyways, about the ADHD, I have noticed that, I think with some like ingredients, it's like, this stuff's supposed to make me feel like energized, and I feel like depressed, you know what I mean? So it just shows we're all freaking different strokes for different folks. Okay. My goodness gracious. There's so many. Let's see. It depends on the severity of heart disease. Absolutely. But that's why, I mean, listen, fellas, we're talking about heart disease, the severity of heart disease. Like, that's why we got to just all freaking come together, and we got to like run the mile. Somebody asked about how often I do the Rogue Echo bike sprints. If I was not so much of a freaking pencil neck daffodil, I would just do it at the end of every session. The problem is, it's just so hard. If you do a real, like, 30 seconds to 1 minute, basically 1 minute. 30 seconds, I think everyone can do that. But that's kind of just like a max effort squat set, you know? 1 minute has got you laying on the floor for 15 minutes. Like, that's how it was for me. Like, I was laying on the floor just huffing and puffing, like, sucks. But, like, you can't tell me that that's not going to get you stripped and ripped, get your heart just juicy, you know? I would say do that kind of stuff after every freaking workout. And that's why I kind of like going to the gym sometimes because they have the freaking ski erg. You could do that one time. You could do just sprints if they have like the curve treadmill. You could do the rower. And it doesn't, I'm not saying be a pencil, I can do 20 minutes of cardio, but I'm saying like, you know, that kind of stuff is basically the same intensity as lifting. So it's like, yeah, you do all your lifting, just do a couple bursts of these high intensity intervals or whatever. And like, it's good for the clicker, the ticker. It's good for your work capacity. It's only going to help you get more jacked and stacked. Absolutely. It's the same thing with running too. You know, honestly, I should be running more than I have been. I got kind of pencil neck with it because I was running and I was like, you know what? I'm sick of running. You know what I mean? I want to try doing ski ergs. I want to try doing biking. I want to try doing, and like, it's just pencil neck attitude. Because I've said this even before. Like, you don't have to run a mile even. You could run a quarter mile. You know? Run a quarter mile after every session. Just use your body for what it's freaking intended to. Going for walks. I used to, when I had Rocky and Lulu, the dogs, I used to walk every day, sometimes twice a day. Couple, like, you know, probably 5 miles total. And I was all, you know, eating fig bars and stuff, like just trying to get voluminous. But I was still like in pretty good, you know, decent shape, right? And I think it was I was walking so much. And eventually, once I stopped walking the dogs, once I got the bulldogs and they just are too just voluptuous to even go for a walk, I just stopped walking. And I'm like, man, I just feel terrible, right? So then when I start forcing myself to go for like nightly walks, it's like, it just feels good too. Like just, it's easy stuff. It's just doing it. It's easy and it's good and it feels good. It's active recovery. So it's like, why we should all be doing this, you know? Holy, any idea how I can prevent elbow pain when doing heavy Hatfield lunges? Am I yanking with my arms too much during the concentric part of the lunge? Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Because I've sometimes had some of the biggest soreness of my entire life doing Hatfield lunges. Like my triceps would be so sore the next day because you're fighting for your life. When you have a giant load on your back and you're gripping that sucker and you don't realize how hard you're freaking gripping it. So I would say, you know what you could do, this is, you're going to be able to, you're not going to be able to move as much weight, but maybe that's a good thing for a while until your elbows heals. But you could hang a heavy resistance band or something, wrap your hands around that and do it so that you can pull to an extent, but you can't, you know what I mean? Like if you're pulling super hard, you're pulling that band down. You get what I'm saying? That's a freaking hybrid between a Hatfield lunge and a normal freaking lunge, right? So that's a good way to be the intermediary. You understand what I'm saying, brother? That would be my tidbit to you. Because if you got the elbow pain right now, you're probably just overdoing that. And that's good. You should use that. You know what I mean? Freaking lunge 800 pounds if you can. But then you need some days where you can't pull as hard. Thank you for being here. All right, what's this? Trya 3728. Okay, I have a question for you. What's the best way to increase overhead presses? Specifically standing one arm overhead dumbbell press. The best way to increase that? There's so many ways you can do this, brother. There's so many freaking ways. First and foremost, you know, how do you get it up there? You know what I mean? Like you're probably not just curling it, pressing it. You can freaking kind of like take two hands and hoist that sucker up, right? Control it down. You can't get it? That's fine. Bring it down. Hoist it back up. Those are freaking heavy negatives, right? Again, you do that same thing with that. Heavy, hold it halfway. Just freaking hold it as long as you can. Expose your freaking body to that exceptional load, right? You could freaking push press it up as well. Like you should be doing this. You should warm up with it normally. Pencil neck, super light, perfect strict form. And then obviously as it gets heavy, push press it. And then from there, hoist it as high as you can if you can get it all the way up. I know I've done it a million times. So that's for that lift specifically. Have you ever thought about, you could do a freaking Smith machine? Get in the Smith machine. It's kind of pencil neck, but it also might work for you. Press it up with two arms and then just freaking control it down with one. All right, that way to feel extra freaking weight. Oh, dude, I got the ultimate tidbit for you, but you probably don't have the chains. I had chains the other day. I got 240 pounds of chains in my garage. This is freaking genius. I've never seen anyone do this before. I just attached a gymnastics ring to all these chains so that when you press it, it's it's 200. It was 210. I couldn't quite do the 240, but it's 210 pounds of chains. So you're thinking about it, it's probably like, I don't know, 80 from here, and then 80 from here, and then 100, 120, 140, 160, 180, 200, right? So that was sick. Also, you could do that with bands. You could just get a heavy band and press that, right? Just changes the resistance, a little accommodating resistance. I would say you could hook a band to a dumbbell, but that would probably pull weirdly on the dumbbell. So you could just get a heavy band and do that. The band will be hard though, but the chains, but I don't know if you go to a gym with heavy ass chains, but dude, those chains, people don't freaking lift with chains. People add hardcore powerlifters will add chains to bench and squat, but how much chain are they actually adding? I'm talking about, like when I did curls the other day, I had 240 pounds of chains. So that just all that 240 up top. And it was crazy. It was so heavy up top, but then it's light on the bottom. So you explode and you can kind of like drag curl it. And then as you guys have seen, then you can just bend at your knees. And you can squat lower and lower. And then you're just taking some tension off too. So you can freaking kind of like drop set it very easily in that way. Same thing with the presses were unbelievable. Like that was like, this is going to expose myself to pressing humongous loads. You got 210 pounds up top, right? And then the thing is too, you can just, if you can't even get it up, you can squat down so it's lighter until you get it locked up and then you can stand up with it. You understand? Like you can squat down, get the thing locked out and then squat up with it, right? And you're feeling just a huge amount of freaking tension. But other than that, just like I always say, just press, just swap out. Don't do as much like dumbbell bench and barbell benching and all machine press. Just start switching more to overhead pressing, as many implements as you can. A lot of gyms now all gyms have shoulder pressing machines. So if a shoulder pressing machine, a lot of shoulder pressing machines I hate. They feel terrible. You're like, what the frick is this? It's just like a weird. When it's weird like that, all you gotta do is spin around, use the machine backwards, and every shoulder press machine turns into a Viking press. And then that feels amazing, right? But now a lot of gyms even just have standing like Viking press machines. But a lot of them you can use one arm with it too. So I love those machines. So that's what I would do. And then the thing is you can band the machines, right? So that's another thing too. I've done that with some like those Nautilus machines and stuff. They're very limited with the weight. They're built for pencil necks, but you can throw bands on. Yeah. You can just make them super heavy. Anyways, do that. Do some of that. You plan to make a video reaction to Bill Kazmaier's lifts? Yeah, so Bill Kazmaier he won a contest just purely so he could. Where they won goldfish, they won a goldfish bowl or whatever, and he won this contest purely so he could drink the goldfish or something like that. He's like, I got a free lunch that day. It was 100 goldfish. Yeah, real sicko. I looked though. There's not that much footage. There's only it's only him doing seminars, and that stuff's always pencil necked. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm gonna teach you how to bench press. And he works up to some heavyweight. You can tell he's strong, but it's just a shame, man. It's a shame that back in those days when you had those OG horsecocks, they didn't have a camera. They couldn't just set up and film. Can you imagine if young Bill Kazmaier just had a freaking iPhone and he set it up and it's just he's like, I'm just gonna hoist cheek curls or something. I would love to see that. All you see is when he competed in World's Strongest Man and stuff, and it's just bending a steel rod on his head. Will we ever see a return of the basement videos? You're talking about the OG basement videos, the ones that I've kind of privatized a lot of them. I've uploaded some. There's some of them are public again. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth uploading. It's they're just such bad quality. I probably should. I've had a lot of people ask me that. I probably should. Why not, right? Why not? Yes, I will. I'll keep doing it. I just keep forgetting. Oh, yes. Favorite Dokken solo of mine is Heaven Sent Dream Warriors. Yeah. Heaven Sent's a great freaking song. That's one. I've been listening to more Dokken. Somebody else just asked about freaking Rat and Dokken. This Dokken, man, making a resurgence. I like Alone Again, man. That's so wow. What the banana bond? What the Into the Fire. It's another good. Into the Fire might be their best solo. You know what I'm saying? Just kidding. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, you're right. Basement videos are great short. You know what? Frick, dude, you're right. I should make them shorts. Absolutely. You're absolutely freaking right. This is why we're doing the streams. Great ideas. Sucking down cups of Joe. Yes! Onion smoothie videos. Will we ever see those again? We should. We should. I am genuinely curious about the onion. The onion is such a hard freaking piece of vegetation to consume. It has to be so good for you. I'm kind of like curious to do an experiment where I'll get like blood work done and then I'll drink onions every day and see what it does. I'm curious. Because from my understanding, it's like a super heart food, freaking glucose disposal. I wonder, it's got that quercetin or whatever. I wonder if like kidney function and stuff would, you know what I mean? Liver, it's gotta be amazing. I mean, garlic is great. I still do garlic. I find myself doing garlic all the time. It's just like one of those things, what's old is new. I'm making my wife eat garlic. I'm like, what's freaking wrong with you? I'm like, did you have any garlic today? She's like, oh, I'll eat it on toast. I'm like, just freaking eat it, okay? Just, it's so easy. Are fat grips good or bad for elbow tendonitis? Fat grip, listen, good or bad? Here's why they're good. Because every handle you use has the same diameter, usually. Dumbbells and barbells, they're all the same diameter, like 30 millimeters or so, 29 millimeters, right? So your freaking arm gets so used in the same diameter. So when you put the fat grips on, it's like you're doing the same exercises, but it's almost like a different exercise. You know what I mean? So you're gonna 100% it's better for tendonitis. 100%. It's gonna help your tendonitis too. And you get those really girthy ones, so you're not using a ton of weight, but like they'll blow up your forearms. And that's what I found. Anytime I had tendonitis, I just have to work my forearms. You know what I mean? So you're innately working your forearms when you're using the fat grips. So I would definitely use them. If you have tendonitis, absolutely use them. Put them on everything for now. Give yourself a break from gripping the 30 millimeter diameter. Put them on your lat pull downs, put them on your pull-ups, put them on your benching, put them on your dumbbells. Yes. But then if you were only using that same fat grip handle for years and years, you'd probably get horrible, and then you'd grab a normal diameter, like, oh my God, this feels so good. You know what I'm saying? Just gotta switch it up. How do you deal with carpal tunnel, like syndromes in your hands? Heard you talk about them before, and in many of the lifts, it limits me just a tad, but preventing true stallion level horse cockery, I think that would almost be about the same thing. Probably just, listen, that's the Dirty Dick's triple trick. Dirty Dick's triple tricks or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Where you grab the stuff you're doing, bare boned, or no, fat grips, okay? Do everything with the fat grips on. As it gets heavy and you can't hoist it, take the fat grips off. Then you got the normal handles. As it gets heavy, and then throw the straps on, right? It's like, it's the natural. Again, it's one of those things that's like, why do I not do that constantly? And honestly, I'm just an idiot. Because you start everything, even deadlifting. I think when I did some of my biggest deadlifts, if you go back to the getting banned from deadlifting video where I did 765 for the first time at that crunch shitness, I warmed up with fat grips, bulbous fat grips too. I think the extreme ones, very thick girthified ones. I warmed up with those up until it was like, I don't know, whatever I couldn't do anymore, 315 or 365, or maybe it was close to 405, I can't remember. And then you take them off, and now the bar feels like a toothpick. And obviously once you can't grip that, then you throw the straps on, and it's one of those CNS things too. But I think it's gonna help your hands feeling better. It's the same thing as the other person asked about the tendonitis, basically. It's just the overuse. And also maybe you're getting carpal tunnel if you're constantly in this super tight. So if you can just open up that hand a little bit, I think that might help, right? So that's one of those things where it's like, why do I not do this? Well, I'm going to start doing this for everything. And remember, I had a video with Juj Mufu where I showed him. It was the Dirty Dicks 3-some trick or something like that. And we did them for seated rows. Yeah, and it's great because then you're getting freaking hands are getting strong, forearms are getting bulbous, and then obviously you can be a pencil neck and throw the straps on. Because straps are not for pencil necks, so they're not. Straps are pencil neck when you're using them on pencil neck weight. Okay, that's the thing. When you're using pencil neck weight, throw the freaking fat grips on, or any fat girthy handle. You know, have some rags, some dish rags in your hands when you grip to make that bar harder to grip. And then once you freaking can't, it's hard to grip, hard to hoist, and take the freaking dish rags or the towels off, you know? Make stuff hard until it's actually hard, and then make it easier. Trick your mind. Trick your body. Trick your soul. Okay, you want to hit 300 on a one-arm dumbbell row. How do you progress into the 300s? And do you think arm and leg placement can affect the number? Yeah, 100%. Is there anything to improve dumbbell row other than doing dumbbell rowing? Yeah. You want the ultimate tip for improving your dumbbell row is the unilateral hammer strength row machine, okay? Because that thing is almost the exact same. You can post on the pad, or I guess it would be almost any chest-supported row machine, but instead of doing pencil like chest-supported, just post against the pad and then yank that sucker with as much freaking body English as possible, because that's what you're doing with the dumbbell row anyways. You're posting and you're using as much body English as possible. It's a perfect one-to-one strengthifier, right? And it's way easier to do with the plate-loaded machine too, because like dumbbells are a pain in the ass to set up, whereas those machines are at every gym. So brother, when I did those huge dumbbell rows back in that day, 375, I think it was, maybe 385. That was my main go-to thing for training, was the freaking, the hammer strength. You guys remember the video? I had 15 plates, I think it was. It was 505 pounds in one hand. Yeah, so maybe it wasn't 15. It must have been 12 or something, or 11. I don't know. Yeah, it was 11 plates, I guess. I stuck a PVC pipe, no, not PVC, a plumbing pipe from the hardware store, stuck it in the hammer strength. So this is the tidbit, because people say hammer strength rows, you can't go heavy with them, and you can't. So these machines, they have their horns, right? They're loadable horns. Well, you can buy a super long pipe and you can stick it. You just got to get a thinner one. You stick it in the freaking loading horn. Now your loading horn is this long. Okay, so you can go El Campeon. If he knew that trick, man, can you imagine? But yeah, he's become kind of pencil. He's always he's just doing circus acts. You know what I'm saying? He's always putting reverse bands on everything and stuff. He'll put like 800 pounds on the bench press, and then it'll just like guillotine. But he has the safety so he doesn't die. But it's like there's a difference between horse cocking and truly pushing yourself to your limits, and then there's just that shit. Or you're putting 1,000 pounds on the bar on the ground to deadlift and you're not even budging it. You know what I'm saying? That's just like a Instagram stunt. But what I'm telling you about putting freaking pipe in the machine so you can hoist, and then if you can, you know what I mean? Like you can use sloppy form. That's fine. Like that's athletic, you know? Like if you're tussling with someone, you're not going to have strict form. You're going to use your whole freaking body, right? So that would be 100% a way to strengthen I promise you, if you get super strong with those, your dumbbell row is going to be very strong. Plus, also dumbbell row, here's the thing. If you go really heavy with it, you know where you feel it the most the next day? Yeah, you feel a ton in all here, but you feel it so much in your obliques. So that's probably one thing. You're probably training your lats, you're probably training your biceps and stuff. Friggin', train your obliques, and I promise you these rows are going to feel a lot stronger. Because you're freaking rotating, your oblique twisting that weight up. It's full body. Oh, geez Louise. What's your highest hammer curl, dumbbell row, dumbbell bench? Okay. Thank you for saying that strength's extremely rare. More videos of these nasty lists. So I've never gone as high as I could with the dumbbell row, but I have a video called Forcing Strict Lifter to Ego, Forcing Pencil Neck Strict Lifter to Ego Lift or something like that. It's a video I did, my first video with Aiden, a kid I met at the gym, okay? Good guy. So I was like, you know what? You're doing too much bodybuilding mumbo jumbo. I'm gonna have you horsecock, okay? Let's just freaking ego lift. So that was, one of the things I had him do was just heavy ass. He's like, oh, because I can't remember. He's like, oh, you think I could do these? I'm like, I don't know. Just do it. Just try it. What's the worst that's going to happen? Hammer curls are pretty safe. If you're like, do you think I can preacher curl this? I'd say don't try. It's very dangerous. But like a hammer curl, like even when I had a torn bicep, I guess it's never going to be untorn, but like when this was its worst, I could still hammer curl in this position. I just couldn't do this kind of stuff. But like I could still do this. And so I feel like these cross body hammer curls are super safe. So I just grabbed the 150s. That's the heaviest the gym went. And I was slinging those suckers. I mean, I could probably sling higher weight, but the form would just be getting grosser and grosser. Dumbbell row, almost 400 pounds. You know, you can just go back, type in Bugenhagen dumbbell row. I mean, you could probably find those. I did 325 recently with pretty good form. Back in the day, I went super heavy, just lots of oblique twisting and leg drive. Dumbbell bench. I think the heaviest I ever got was 190s for 4, I believe. It was 190 for 4. I believe that was it. I was shooting for 2 hundos, but I got close. I don't know if I ever attempted the 2 hundos. But anyways, I was getting there. I was peaking for it. Because I finally joined a gym that had 200s. That's why I joined the gym. Like, they got the 200s. I have no excuse. I'm freaking doing it. And then, yeah, my God. There's some issues pop up. But yeah, how-tos. Okay. Anyways, yeah, I would like to press the 200. I think that's everyone's goal. Good reps, you know, no elbow wraps and stuff like that. If I had the elbow wraps that everyone uses these days, the triple ply elbow wraps, I could probably do 220s, like legit, at least 210s. And I know that because those triple ply elbow wraps are probably the same as using like a slingshot. You know what I mean? Because you're getting that rebound. And I've done like I had the 200s and I strapped some extra weights on them. And I did that with the slingshot to like prime my body up, which I think is a cool technique that I don't ever see people doing. Slingshots, people frown on now. They're like, oh, don't see it without the slingshot. I'm talking about the slingshot. I'm not talking about those heavy-duty Widowmakers and stuff like that, the new ones that are like triple ply. I'm talking about just the slingshot, okay? Basically a reverse band bench. If you're not freaking warming up raw dog with dumbbells and then you can't do any more, you put the slingshot on, you get a bit heavier for more reps than you could without it, and then you take it off and then you try to hit a PR with raw dogged again. It's a great tool to use. Did I follow Rick Rude as a kid? Yeah, I was a Rick Rude fan as a kid. Rick Rude, you're saying I look bigger. Well, thank you. I mean, I am bigger, but Rick Rude was way more sliced and diced. You know what I'm saying? He had a nice aesthetic physique. And then he had that just nasty gyno, though, which ruins everything. You know what I mean? Sliced and diced, chiseled Greek god with just the mammary glands protruding. Just ruins everything. But yeah, great physique. That's the thing, too, with Rick Rude versus, like, the Warrior. You know, a lot of people say Rick Rude was bigger than the Warrior. You're like, no way! But I mean, they did wrestle. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's kind of crazy. I mean, I guess just like Warrior just had a different look, but like Rick Rude wasn't much smaller than him. You know what I mean? And it makes me think, like, how big was Warrior actually? You know, he was billed at like 275 or whatever. I don't know if I believe it, you know? Not to knock a guy that's dead. I'm just saying everyone was billed bigger than they actually are. You know, I know so many guys that are like, oh, he's 6'5", 280. And then you meet him in real life at like 6 foot, 220. It's like, come on, man. What are we doing here? Right? So it's kind of changes your perspective of everything. But Rick Rude is one of those guys that I think was a true horsecock. I think he's like arm wrestler and stuff too, right? So like that's you know, real macho shit. Yeah. Where's Mama? She's upstairs. I said, Mama, don't come down. I'm talking with the fellas. You're destroying my train of thought. So elbow wraps is cheating, but not slingshot. No, I'm not saying that, brother. You're losing the plot. You use elbow wraps, aren't you? Okay? Because listen, if you don't understand what I'm saying, elbow wraps are not cheating. They could be a tool. I talked about this in the last stream. You put the freaking tool on, right? You warm up raw dog, you put the elbow wraps on, and then you're going to get extra 20 to 40 pounds, right? But when you take those elbow wraps, you're adding 20, depending on the types you use too. If it's the really shitty one, maybe 20. If you're adding some super strong one, maybe 50 pounds, right? And that's what I'm saying about the slingshot too. It's the same thing. So the elbow wraps are a pain in the ass. Oh, can you wrap my elbows? Oh my God, I can't bend my elbows. Oh, you know what I mean? Like if you're going to do that, just put a freaking slingshot on for the same thing. Because I guess most people are like, oh my God, you bench a lot. But it's like those elbow wraps are adding for probably 40 pounds to your bench. Just like a slingshot is going to be adding 40 pounds to your bench. As long as you see that as you know what I mean? It's like doing a reverse bands with light bands. Like, yes, it's a great tool. You should use them. It's not cheating unless you're saying that you bench X amount and you're using freaking wraps or reverse bands or slingshots. Then it's not even that it's cheating. It's just not true. You're just not actually that strong. Because if you forgot your wraps one day and someone's like, what do you bench? 550? And it's like, yeah, I bench 550 and you're warming up and 495 is slow. It's like, well, you lost a lot of strength. It's like, well, I don't have my wraps. It's like, well, then do you actually bench 550? You know what I'm saying? But if you see it for what it is, a great tool to help you push more weight. But that's why I'm always saying, like when you do bands, slingshot, chains, any of that kind of stuff, cool, like work up to as heavy as you can, but then take the stuff off and see what you can do with your own body. You know what I'm saying? And I guess if you wanted to go one step further with that, you could say, well, it could be the same concept with knee wraps or a belt. And it's true, it could. So maybe that's to say, maybe it's true. Maybe that'll be something I start doing. Maybe I'll warm up, put the belt on once it gets hard, and that's another way that you can start adding more layers to your PRs. Because now you can warm up, and you can't hit an all-time deadlift PR with your belt on. So you say, well, what do? I don't want to leave the gym until I one-up myself. Well, why don't you take the belt off and strip, if you're going for 765, well, that's your PR, and you went for 770 or 775, and you couldn't quite do it. Instead of calling it quits and be like, damn it, today was a waste. Well, first of all, you shouldn't look at that anyways, because even if you moved it 1 inch, you still made progress. But you could say, hey, I made progress with 770 or 775, but now I'm going to take this belt off, and now I'm going to see if I can hit 725 beltless. You know what I mean? It'd be like the same thing if you bench. You hit 405 with the elbow wraps on, but your best ever without elbow wraps is 365. Cool. Try to hit a PR with the elbow wraps, but then take the wraps off and see if you can hit 375 without them. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying, brother. I'm not saying one's cheating and one's not, all right? It's just a tool. But I feel like people that are always only doing, like, because, and I don't care. People can do whatever they want, but I'm just saying, like, every time you see people like, oh, they're throwing the freaking wraps on and stuff, it's like, yeah, but those wraps are probably helping you a lot. And that's fine. That's a reason to buy them, because they are going to help you a lot. But don't let that become a crutch where you can only press heavy with the wraps on then. You know what I mean? Because basically what those wraps are doing is they're making your freaking triceps twice as powerful. Right? But then you could say, oh, but isn't all that more weight going to be loading up my pec and shoulder more? And it would be, yeah. I mean, this is going to be absorbing some of that tension, but you're still going to be getting, 50 extra pounds loaded on your pecs and shoulders, which it could be good or it could be bad. Maybe it's going to be freaking too much more than this can handle, or it's extra good stimulus. But I still think then, if that's the case, you load it up with 50 extra pounds, now you should take them off and see how much you can do now that supra maximal loaded, primed your nervous system, primed your body up for heavy loads. You know what I mean? It's all, that's it. They're all tools. What's the advice for someone unathletic, skinny fats, and weak pencil neck tendons? Also, I live in Orlando for 8 years around Full Sail. Never saw you. No kidding. I used to go to Full Sail every week for those freaking NXT tapings. Well, that's cool, brother. I mean, at some point, I feel like it would be good content if I like trained you. Not all the time though. Just show you the ropes. You know what I mean? Show you how to not be unathletic and skinny fat, pencil neck. So, Robin B92, send me a message on Instagram if you got Instagram. I know some people don't. I met this jacked guy at the gym the other day, and I was like, brother, we should lift sometime. You know what I mean? Why not? Because it's good to lift with jacked people. I'm like, you got Instagram? He's like, no. I'm like, that's great. Okay, cool. And then what's your phone number? I'll text you. But yeah, I would send me a message. Let's freaking link up. I would like to train you on a video. That'd be great, actually. This is great content. Training unathletic, skinny, fat, jabroni, pencil neck. And then we can make it a series. I'm sorry, brother. What was your question? Yagdrasil. Let me see if I can find it. Eating crickets for maximum exoskeleton gains. The cricket idea did seem pretty good. The thing is, they were just gross. I feel like if you found a company that had good crickets with chocolate or something on them, something that made them actually yummy, it could be good. I bought like a cricket. Oh, dude. I bought that 10 pound jug of crickets. And I was like, I think I ate it for like a couple handfuls, and I was like, damn, these crickets are not enjoyable to eat. I don't know if I could eat 10 pounds of crickets, but like the protein in them was pretty exceptional. I can't remember exactly what it is, but I remember when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be a game changer. And there's got to be more nutrients in these crickets than people realize. You know what I mean? There's got to be something special in those crickets. But yeah, they're hard to eat. They were hard to eat. So I don't know. I mean, so it's funny enough, when I made a video, there was a person that was like, hey, I own a cricket protein bar company. Let me send you a few. And they were good, but then they were like just protein bars. You know what I mean? So like, of course they're going to be good. It was like a protein bar with cricket protein. So the crickets were probably ground up into dust anyways. I'm talking about the real deal. I want to eat the real deal crickets. LOS. Excuse me. I have the muscle, but it's just covered in fat. How do you personally change your diet when you're losing weight? So, I've noticed that it definitely gets harder losing fat as you get older. That's for sure. I feel like back in the day, I could eat Wendy's chicken nuggets and just get stripped and ripped, right? Just with adding some conditioning, which doesn't happen so much now. But I will say that I feel like, how do you personally change your diet when you're losing weight? It's probably pretty easy to get under your calorie goal, right? Because I think this is the thing. How do you change it? I think this is the answer right here. And I think that this is the simplest answer without being a theoretical, scientific, like, oh, you gotta just simply, like whatever, eat Pop-Tarts, but not too many. You know what I mean? I'm talking about freaking, what I do now that I'm trying to get stripped and ripped is that I basically just try to get enough protein in. And I figure if I get enough protein in, it will spare the muscle, right? Without over engorging and obsessing about like the total calories. You know what I mean? Because before I just try to get 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day, right? I wouldn't go to bed unless I got 4,000 in. I was always shooting for 5,000. I got bulbous. I'm pretty bulbous doing that. Very bloated. Didn't look good. Very bulbous though, right? So I had to shift my mindset and to be, okay, well, I don't want the 5,000 calories anymore, but I've kind of trained my body how to eat 5,000. So now that's why all I do is just aim for the protein. You know what I mean? If I'm 270 pounds round, I don't have 270 pounds of muscle. You know what I'm saying? I probably have, 100, I don't know, 200 pounds, we'll say, right? So I'm just shooting for like 200-ish. That's the minimum protein I'm shooting for, and anything over that's extra. So then basically you're thinking about it that way, because then protein is it's 4 calories per gram of protein, right? So if I'm just shooting, that's only 800 calories right there. So obviously everything you eat is going to have fat, and it's going to have carbs in it too. So if you're just looking at it as like, everything's just like, what's your protein, your source of protein, and that's what you're focused on, I feel like it's going to be a lot easier. Whereas before I used to eat bagels and stuff where it's like there's a little protein in there, but each bagel's 270 calories, right? And now if I'm putting some freaking nut butters on or whatever, I'm getting 20 grams of protein, but over 500 calories for 20 grams of protein. Whereas if I'm eating a Greek yogurt, I'm getting 20 grams of protein, but it's 110 calories or whatever. You get what I'm saying? So you just got to shift your mindset, basically. That's how it's easy. Because obviously everyone else can just, you could calculate it and you can meal plan and stuff like that. But how obsessive do you want to be? So I'm just saying that's the easiest way, I think, to shift your mindset of want to be big and bulbous, but like you don't have to do it in a way like you want to look decent. You know what I mean? You want to have some definition, not just a blubber whale. Favorite 4 movies of all time. God dang, man. That's a hard. Conan the Barbarian. That's absolutely the number 1. Okay? That's absolutely number 1. Man, the funny thing is like, well, how do you, at the time, Freddy Got Fingered was my favorite in high school, right? Just real slapstick, crude humor, okay? What's the first, like the new Batman, not the new one with the pencil and that guy that refused to lift weights, but like The Dark Knight, that was a great movie when I saw that. I'll tell you the favorite soundtrack, Last of the Mohicans soundtrack. Conan the Barbarian, Last of the Mohicans. I mean, frick, man, those unrivaled soundtracks. I don't know, it's too hard. It's like asking someone what their favorite 4 songs are, you know? It's going to change. It's going to freaking change, you know? Da Baby on Fire says, what's your current mile time? It's probably gotten worse because I haven't done it. I've been still doing conditioning stuff, and like, really what I've been doing lately was just going for nighttime walks and just getting 5,000 steps in at night, okay? Because I'm trying to get back to building bulbous tissue as much. And I think the mile time shouldn't hurt that, but it's just hard. It's like having so many, you know what I mean? Like the mile was the only thing I was shooting for to hit PRs with, right? And now I'm trying to switch back to horse cockery. I should still be doing the mile, but I'm like, well, I want to not run myself into the ground too much. So like for my cardio stuff now, I'm just kind of going back to the walking unless I'm doing the ski erg or something. But I haven't been running as much as I should, and that's shame on me. But if I had to guess, I would probably be back in the 8 minutes or so, which is just disgusting. I still want to shoot for 7, or I'm sorry, I already did 7, 6. And I think I can, because I have gotten in better shape than back when I was doing the running. Oh my goodness. Okay, what do we got here? Coheed and Cambria. I never really. Right? I haven't really given them too much of a chance other than that one. But I mean, I think they got some tasty guitar and stuff. Greg Doucette's cookbook. I don't know. I mean, maybe he's got some recipes in there, but isn't that like $100? I don't know. I just feel like it's the principle. You know what I'm saying? But maybe it's worth it. I mean, really, if it's $100 to have recipes for the rest of your life. But I mean, is it just adding protein to everything? That's what I would like to know. Because he's always talking about his protein ice cream and stuff. Is it just, well, how you make protein ice cream is you take vanilla ice cream, you put it in the blender, you take a scoop of protein, you put it in the blender, you blend it up. That's protein ice cream. You know what I'm saying? All these protein pancakes. You just make pancakes and add a scoop of protein. You know? But I can't say it's probably great. Maybe it's great. I think he's made like $1 trillion off of it, so it's got to be good, you know? It's got to be good. Maybe I should freaking try it out. Be a shill for Greg Doucette's cookbook. All right. Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm trying to find these questions here. A lot of great comments. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Train neck. You know, I said this to my brother, because there was a neck machine that was in sale for St. Louis. If anyone's out in St. Louis, you should buy it. Hammer-string 4-way neck. I just Googled it, and it was $250 or something. I'm like, that's way too cheap. So I put it in the shopping cart, and I went to checkout, and then you could enter your shipping info, and the shipping was $2,000. $250 machine, $2,000 shipping. So I instantly closed the window because I don't want to make the mistake of buying that. I have not paid $2,000 for shipping. But then the guy messaged me. He's like, hey, I saw you were interested in this 4-way neck. Turns out the shipping is a lot cheaper. It's actually $800. It's like, well, that was a convenient mistake for you, wasn't it? But anyway, still, it was over $1,000 for the 4-way neck, which it's a heavy-duty machine. But he said if I'm ever in St. Louis, you can just pick it up. You don't even have to ship it then. So if you guys are in St. Louis, there's a $250 4-way neck machine there. My point is, I told my brother, I'm like, because he's in St. Louis, I'm like, you should buy this 4-way neck. Because he's like, I don't think he really lifts very much. I'm like, if anything, it's probably like the one muscle group that's going to make the most imposing difference to all the freaks and geeks in your field, right? Show up with a freaking button up, like the neck's exploding out of the button up. Then I sent him, because everyone's always making these before and afters of like pencil necks to thick, stout, girthified horsecock necks. And it doesn't make quite the difference. And I'm like, everyone's going to the gym to look better, right? Everyone wants to look better. That's why most people are going to the gym. They don't care about horsing. They just want to look better. But they don't have the apparatus that will make the biggest difference for them. That's like the one thing they don't have at gyms. I go to like 4 different gyms, maybe 5 different gyms. There's not a single neck machine at any of these gyms. They'll have 20 different machines for the biceps, 20 different for the triceps, 1,000 different pec flies and stuff, but there's not a single neck machine. And that is the one single most muscle group that probably will make the biggest difference on increasing people's freaking stature, you know? Yeah, so it's just, and it's also like protecting our brains from concussions and stuff. Like, juicy pecs are not going to protect you in a car accident. Well, maybe they would, actually. I don't know. You're drinking that Folgers Instant. So I finished that. I talked about this last stream. I'm trying to take a break from it. Just because, first and foremost, it's so easy to take extra. It's so cheap. I don't know, 10 cents a serving or whatever. It's like, yeah, I'll just do 100 servings. Why not? But I think I talked about this last stream. I feel like and I don't want a lawsuit, so this is just my opinion. I feel like it was frying my brain. Maybe it was too much, and obviously they say like, people overblow organic, like it's not that big of a difference. Like, listen, it's all, the amounts of chemicals are negligible, it's safe for consumption. But maybe if you're having like 10 scoops of just ultra highly processed pesticide coffee, like, you're mega dosing pesticides and stuff, and I feel like that's kind of, I don't know. So I'm just taking a break from it. I bought a little bit better quality instant coffee just to see if it makes a difference. Oh, this is actually a good question from Ragnar the Broke. Dude, I look ugly when bulking. Do you have any tips to get my bench from 225 to 315 without eating huge amounts of food and milk? I mean, that's the problem, man. That's the problem. In order to get bigger and jacked and stacked, everything is getting bigger and jacked and stacked, including your face. And then you end up looking just horrible, but your body's robust, right? But you want your muscles to be robust, but you had a lot of muscles in your face. And like how your muscles get swollen with water and stuff, so does your face muscles, right? So everything's getting bigger, including your face. So that's the conundrum, You want to get huge and strong, or do you want to be a pretty boy? So I think you just have to look at it in waves, right? Huge calorie consumption to try to break through plateaus. And once you can break the plateau, strip it back, right? And try to eat a little cleaner and try to lean out a little bit, shed the bloat. And then just kind of do it in that way, which I feel like is probably the best way. Short exposures, basically. It's like specificity when it comes to horsecock and huge loads. Like with your behind the back deadlift, for instance, you do it every single day or every other day. You're going to probably put like 100 pounds on it. But if you keep trying to do it, that same approach, week after week after week, month after month, you're going to hit a wall. You're going to burn out. You're going to plateau. You're probably going to get hurt. But you can do it for a bit. You can get away with it. So what I would do if I were you is I would get as stripped and ripped as you can, and therefore you should be chiseled and handsome, right? That's what you want. Stripped and ripped, and then see where your bench is. Try to make the best strength you can with it. And then as you plateau, use all these other techniques I'm talking about, right? Like everything I just talked about, the reverse bands, the freaking elbow wraps, or a slingshot, or anything to add more ways to break the mental plateau a bit. Obviously, you got to take those off and raw dog it after you do those techniques. But once you're truly plateaued with doing all these other techniques, then scarf your face, indulge. You know what I mean? Eat the freaking ultra caloric meals. See if it helps you break the plateau. Because if it doesn't and you're just getting fat, then why are you even doing that, right? So use it as a tool. Don't use it as some recipe that's gonna get you super strong, because it might just get you fat. But the thing is, like, you would probably need to scarf your face for a week to see if it would make a meaningful difference in your or at least a few days, right? To kind of refill the gas tank, basically. So I would do it in that way, really. That's kind of what I'm doing as well. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not obsessed with engorging myself. I mean, I'm trying to be like as light, as lean as I can and in good shape, but I'm getting back into horse cockery. So now when I am stuck, you bet your freaking buns, I'm gonna be scarfing down peanut butter and jellies and stuff, so as I can come back and see if I can supersede my plateau. And I'll give it a bit. I'll give it a couple weeks, just like doing a specificity phase with a lift. I'll give it a couple weeks of PB&Js. And if that truly doesn't get me anywhere, then I'm gonna pull back, right? Because otherwise you just kind of go off the deep end. And then before you know it, you have a huge, thick refrigerator waste that you just can't get rid of. Allegedly, Arnold benched 500. He may have only benched 425. That's the only documented weight he did. I mean, I could see him benching 5. I just don't know if Arnold had the mindset. I know he had the mindset to be great, right? I don't know if he had the mindset to horse hefting heat. But then again, he did powerlift for a little bit when he was young. I just don't know if he ever cared about maximum weight when he was like lifting with Franco and stuff, when he's at the prime of his bodybuilding. But part of me wants to believe he probably did, because we're all humans at the end of the day. And if Franco is just mogging him on the bench press, you know what I mean? Because Franco has been shown to bench 500, I believe, or 425 for reps for sure. I would have to imagine that Arnold's like, ow, you know what I mean? Like, leave the weight on, let me freaking try. But that's the problem, is we have no documentation of these things. Elijah, okay, he's my man. Can you thank my wife for our cat, Wesley, for being a friend? Can you thank my wife and our cat? Oh, thank you for being my friend. That's a funny cat name. Wesley the cat. A real question. Here's a real question as well. What do you think of Gable Steveson in the UFC? Loved watching him in college and the Olympics. I mean, frick. Yeah, I mean, the guy is unbelievable, right? I think he's going to probably do, if he has even a tenth of the talent he has for scrapping with his jiu-jitsu and his freaking boxing, like, it'll be unbelievable. I mean, it'll probably be the best ever, maybe. The guy won the Olympics when he was, like, not even graduated college yet. And I saw one thing. I didn't know how good he was at a time when there was a bunch of hype. But then I saw he, like, tech-falled. I can't remember what it was. But when I saw that, I was like, holy frick, man. This guy just tech-falled like another national champion or something like that. I can't remember. But then he lost. He lost in the NCAAs like a year or two ago to the Oklahoma State guy. So that made me second guess it. But I don't know. Maybe he was out of his element. I feel like he wasted his time in WWE, rightfully so. It's not for everybody, you know? And I think he wasn't able to compete in the Olympics because WWE like prevented him from doing it too, which is really shitty because the Olympics is every 4 years. And I feel like when somebody is that talented and can probably win a gold medal, to not let them do that is really shitty for our country, because that's a representation of our country. That could have been a gold medal for the USA. Yeah. So, frick. Reverse lunges with the barbell. It's mostly I agree, mostly a stabilizing exercise. On the verge of switching to BSS? I don't know. Safety squat, probably? Yeah. Any tip on stabilizing with real loads? I agree. I mean, anytime I do it now, I used to be able to do it pretty heavy with the barbell, but it's just, now it does just feel like purely balance. You can't horse the biggest loads possible with it. With a reverse lunge, I'd probably just do a Smith machine. Ideally, this is how I pulled my groin because I try getting too big of a range of motion, but they have that free moving Smith machine. That's the best thing for lunges. I think that is kind of stupid for anything else, but for lunges, it's because you don't have to worry about falling over, and then you can like hinge more if you need to, like if it gets pretty heavy. That's what I would personally use. And there's safeties for it too, so you could fail. The problem is because you can hoist such big loads with it, it's very easy, I think, to hurt yourself. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, with the safety squat bar, you'll also be able to stabilize as well. So that's what I would just use those two. Any tips? I mean, there's nothing to, I would just be, if you're doing a safety squat bar and you're using your hands, you just got to be cautious that you might be helping more than you realize with one leg versus the other, because we have a dominant side, right? My right leg is way stronger than my left. So when I would do it, I would not help too much with my right, and then my left, I would help a lot. So I'm probably just making them super imbalanced over time, or injury prone over time. Best way to progressive overload is keeping the reps the same every week, but adding a pound or two to each of the lifts weekly sufficient. Yeah, it's a very slow way. Adding a pound or two, yeah. It's gonna maybe get mind-numbingly boring because it's not very exciting to add a couple pounds, you know what I mean? But yeah, like you could look at it any way. Progress, what is progress? You know, you could move a weight a little faster. Like that's progress because it takes more strength to move it faster. So if you're benching and your 315 was pretty slow, you don't even have to throw more weight on. If you just move 315 a little faster, you know you're freaking stronger, right? Obviously adding weight. I mean, there's a million ways to progress with it, but I like to do what I'm enthusiastic and what I find fun, and that's moving humongous loads, right? So that's why I like doing, if I plateau with something, yeah, obviously putting more weight on is the most fun way to do it. You want to get stronger. That's the main goal of what we want when we go to the gym. But then that's why I like to change up the degree of variance with it, right? And that's doing a reverse band or chains or something that's cool as well. Weight releasers, because now you're doing the same weight, but you're doing 50 to 100 extra pounds on the negative. So it's just way more exciting and it's fun. And when it's fun and it's exciting, it's sustainable. And you're going to want to keep doing it. You're going to have maximum gusto and cojones to those top sets because they're fun and they're exciting. Whereas it's like, okay, one more pound. Like it's just a little mind numbing. But some people are very analytical like that. And obviously that's literally progressive overload. So that is a way to do it for sure. Does the exact same stuff from the 60s work today? Yes, of course. Arnold, Reg Park, Draper, Zane, all were busy with jobs and ate steak, potatoes, soups, salads. Yeah, I mean, they're probably also on lots of D-ball and stuff, so you have to take that into account. You know what I mean? Like, you got to take that into account. So, like, you're not going to look like them just from lifting the same way and eating soups and potatoes and salads, but that is the meat and potatoes, basically, no pun intended, with the lifting and the diet and all. The thing is, now the nutrition stuff should be easier than ever. Well, the food is just everywhere at your disposal, which is why more people are fat than ever. So, like, getting big should be easier than ever. But, like, the workouts they did, for the most part, that stuff works. You know what I mean? Like, there's no secret, like, heavy barbell movements or just any barbell movements with sprinkling in the cables and whatever stuff here and there is going to probably be the best versus using every machine. And that's not to knock machines. You know, machines have a place too, but like, that's my point. I talked about this in the other stream. Like those 60s and 70s physiques are what people aspire to. So why are we trying to find a different means? Ooh, like this machine's going to get me that look. No. So realistically, you know what they did. You know the movements. For the most part, obviously the reps are always going to be the same, heavy and then like 8 to 12, right? But working up to heavy top sets, you know that. And then what we know from back in the day is guys took a lot of D-ball, right? So like, that's your recipe right there. 2 questions. Sticky Ricky meme made by someone else. Wait, what? Oh no, Sticky Ricky? No, that was me. I was coming up with names. I don't know where that even came from. It had a lot of aliases. You know what it came from? I'll tell you where it came from. I know exactly now. It just came back to me. It's because in WWE, I didn't know what I could, I didn't know how it worked, basically, right? Rick Boogs, exactly. So my name's Eric Bugenhagen. So I just cut in a promo once, And I just cut the name short. And they're like, oh, that's great, Rick Boogs. And they're like, that's your name. I'm like, damn it. That's my name for my career? Okay, well, then we're going with that. But anyways, so then when I Eric Bugenhagen. Eric is generic. Generic Eric. Frick! Bugenhagen is cool. Spitting knowledge for your noggin. But it's very long. So then I figured I had to come up with different names. Nicknames, right? That weren't Rick Boogs, right? Because I didn't want to say Rick. I never wanted to say Rick Boogs at first. Because I didn't know exactly like what they own. Do you know what I mean? If I was doing YouTube videos and it's like, oh, it's like Rick Boogs, I take his channel. We own that channel now. So yeah, that's why Professor Girth, Dr. Density, just get as far away from you or WWE as possible. Hit 405 in deadlift since torn disc. Holy buckets. PR was 600. Okay. Well, here's the deal. If you have a torn disc, or you did, I mean, that sounds pretty intense. I would not try to chase what you've done when you were healthy, okay? I just will say that, because I've had some injuries myself, you know what I mean? And it's like, I'm never going to be what I was before injury. So for instance, the patellar tendon. I'm never going to do deep, powerful squats the same way that I used to. But I am stronger in different ways now. So I just have to change, what I'm truly shooting for. So for you, you can do bigger and better lifts. But if 405 is a pain, if you got 405 on the deadlift and it's like, oh man, I don't know how I'm going to do 200 more pounds, then don't freaking even worry about it. Try to do something else that doesn't, for instance, Romanian deadlifts. See that, because you're not putting your back is a vulnerable position. You don't have to go all the way down. Or just rack pulls, or if behind the back deadlifts feel good, or trap bar deadlifts, that kind of stuff. Get strong with that stuff. And then you're going to get your whole body as one singular unit is going to get stronger anyways. And then eventually when you do go back to your conventional deadlift or whatever, it's probably you're going to be in a better place anyways, versus oh, I just am rehabbing from this injury. Let me see if I can get back to where I was. That's just mental torture to do that. Ricky, what did you excel in at school? Excel? I mean, school was always hard for me. I wasn't a terrible student. I mean, I don't know. Maybe my high school was just too easy. But then I went to college, and it was really hard. But also, I don't know if that's just because I was an athlete and was caught up in that, and then I wanted to have a good time. I wanted to party, and I procrastinate, and I had extreme ADHD because those science classes and stuff, I got lots of D's, and I almost got an academic probation. So then I took a lot of history classes to boost my GPA, and essentially became a history major, right? So I guess history, but I'm not good at it. I couldn't tell you a single thing about it. It's just that I could procrastinate as long as possible, and then I could read whatever, and then everything would hit. It's all theories. Well, my theory is that King Charles, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So it's as long as you can justify your BS, you can do pretty well. So, could Kurt Angle have beaten Krellin in freestyle? Freestyle, yeah. Freestyle is a different ballgame than Greco. Krellin was a Greco guy. Yeah, absolutely. We probably would have murdered him in freestyle. Freestyle is a different animal, man. There's a lot of studs in Greco, but they would just get whoa. I mean, you know this. Greco's no lower body. So you can be super good. Greco's gonna be all freaking great at hand fighting, freaking tough as nails, strong, thick as frick. Freestyle is wiry, scrappy, super fast, low single, right? Freaking, all that kind of stuff that the Greco guys don't have any. He's not training Greco. He's not training freestyle. Of course, he get his ass kicked. You got the best in the world at one, best in the world at the other. The best in the world, the one that does the actual specificity is gonna be better. It's if you ask a guy hey, could Rick the Stick at his peak of behind the back deadlifting be a stronger deadlifter than this guy that never does behind the back deadlifting or whatever? It's yeah, I'll be better. I'll be stronger. That guy's probably way stronger than me at that conventional, but my behind the back deadlift is way stronger because I freaking do it more. Specificity is everything for everything. I got 10 more minutes because I got to pick up my daughter from school. Let's wrap this sucker up. Generic Eric could have been a cool character. I do agree with that. Generic Eric, anything could be a cool character. I think I could have pulled it off. Generic Eric, I would cut the most generic promos. You think you're tough? that is tough. Everything, my moves would be ultra generic. Headlock takeover, shoulder tackle, body slam, pin. That would be my match, right? I would, if I was taking heat, I would fire up. Let's go! Generic fire up. Clothesline, duck his clothesline, hit the ropes. Clothesline, he feeds up. Body slam, hit the ropes, elbow drop, finish. I mean, that's very generic. That's a pretty freaking cool character, too. And it's just like John Cena. You know what I mean? Same move, same comeback. Everyone knows it, but it doesn't matter. That's the thing. It's like you can't do the same thing every time. You got to keep it interesting. But then if you don't do the same thing every time, people don't know what to anticipate. You know what I mean? You want them to freaking, he's going to do the body slam. Here comes the third body slam. Score for the elbow drop. Either you hit it or you miss it, you know? Yeah, I think that's actually golden now that we're talking about it more. Frick. I'm at the gym about to horse a 100-pound pull for reps. That's freaking incredible, okay? Not only are you going to horse it, and then you're going to put more weight on, okay? And then you're going to go for 125. Horse 100 for a rep or so. Go to 125, and then hang with 150 or whatever. Strip the 50 off, then go to 100 pounds again. Now that 100 pounds ain't going to feel as freaking intimidating, and you're probably going to get an extra rep or so. And you're going to get people who are going to be looking at you like, I'm going to sweet, does he have strapped? What's he going to do this? And then you're going to be kind of humiliated because you're going to be hanging, and they're going to be like, oh, he ain't shit. And then you're going to take the 50 off with 100 on, and then you're going to bang them out, and then everyone's going to turn around. And if you're filming it, you're going to catch some people in the background like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's your technique right there. How did you meet your wife? What was your first date? Okay, so this is funny. I was a bouncer, and she was a bartender. This is freaking, I mean, where do we even begin with this? So I was carrying a case of liquor up the stairs or something, or down the stairs. So we had to carry these crates. So this is why it was a good job, because you had to walk up, there was a 3-story bar. So you'd have to go to the basement, and you have to carry up crates of beer or liquor. So I like that for my conditioning for wrestling, okay? And it probably was pretty good now that I think about it. If I could do rehab for my knee and get stronger, I'd probably carry cases of beer up the stairs. If I had 3 flights of stairs, it'd be unbelievable. So she says she saw me and that the biceps were bulging or whatever. The problem was, I don't know if there was actually not a problem. I mean, I was pretty penciling, but I guess I was lean. See, this is the thing, guys. The fellas, maybe the girls don't want super, just colossal girth. As long as you're lean, stripped, and ripped. I guess that's probably more important. Is that true, Mama?
I don't know. I like you how you are, but I always like you.
She says she likes me how I am. She's lying, isn't she?
No, I'm not.
All right. Well, I don't care. I'm getting obese because I want it. It's not about you. It's about what I want. And I want to be obese and strong. You'll have to deal with it. Yeah, so then I got typical young me. I got way too drunk because I was cutting weight for college. I was wrestling 184. Keep in mind, I'm like, 270s, right? So I was cutting obviously I wasn't as robust back then, but I was still cutting 30 pounds. So I was always trying, because the coach would yell at, they would weigh us in every week. And if you were within 10 pounds of weight, you would get a freaking, you know what I mean? They would, cut your throat. Be pissed. And my coach was a lunatic. Barry Davis. So anyways, you can't, engorge too much. So I always had to be pretty light. So then I would drink, and I was a dumbass too. So you take shots and you'd be blackout. So then I woke up in my apartment, my landlord's closet with no pants on. I don't know where the pants went. So I didn't have my keys because my keys were in my pants. So the landlord kicked me out of the closet. So then I went up to my room, but I didn't have my keys to get in my room. So I was banging on everyone's doors to let me in so I could go to sleep. I just wanted to sleep. You know what I mean? But that was probably, nobody wants to.
Why say you didn't want to break into your landlord's apartment? You didn't know what you were doing.
I was drunk, yeah. I didn't want to, of course. I was
Exactly. You should probably say
I was out of my mind. Yeah, I was drunk. I was stupid, blacked out drunk. So anyways, they looked at the security footage the next day or whatever, and they told me I couldn't stay there anymore. So I had nowhere to live. And then my wife, they had a serial killer try to break into their house.
no, he did break it.
Oh, he did break in. So a guy with a knife broke into your house?
Yeah.
Yeah, so then why did he leave?
Because we lived right by Wando's and we called the police and they came within like 3 minutes.
The police came within 3 minutes. Okay. So basically, one of their roommates left. So then they had a room open. And I guess you wanted a guy to live there so that I could get killed in case anyone broke in?
Well, that was the room on the first floor, so we were all.
So, yeah. So that was the room on the first. There was only one room on the first floor. That's where that roommate left. So I moved into it because I'm a dumbass and think, well, surely this guy with a knife won't break in again. But he didn't, right?
Nope.
No, he didn't. So then the rest is history. All right. Plans on attending the FIBO. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think so. That's hard. That is a hard expo though. Freaking like 6 or 7 hour time zone difference. Red eye to get there. No sleep that whole first night, and then like a 4-day convention. Oh my God, that's a hard. But if I do, I'll let you know. You think you could do a 100-mile bike ride? I think I could. That was a date I took Mama on. You want to talk about dates? Mama, remember when I told you we should go for a bike ride and then ended up, it was like, what, 36 miles or something?
Yeah.
Did you do it?
Tell me. You didn't tell me it was going to be that.
I didn't tell her it was that long because I was trying to get ripped and stripped and in shape for college wrestling. I was in pretty good shape. I was a wrestler, you know? And yeah, I think it was like, was it the worst time of your life?
No, it wasn't fun.
She didn't enjoy it. Yeah.
I wasn't dressed for it or anything.
Yeah. So yeah, that was, but that was with, you know, I'm not a cyclist, so I think I could pull off 100 if I trained for it. Absolutely.
And we didn't have good bikes.
Yeah, we had the shitty ass broken 1970s bikes too. Okay. I think it's 2:45. My daughter gets out of school at 3. I should probably get going, wrap this up. Let's see if I'll ask a couple more of these random ones. Okay, this is a good question here. Mr. DFTNDR Frick. Any chance we will see Rick De La Stick go through a swimming phase and be the most succulent, bulbous swan? That's actually a great question. Didn't I just talk about how I'm going to start swimming, Mama?
Yeah.
So we have a pool, but it's not good for like laps, obviously. But we do have, my daughter's school has a lap pool. And I think it's about $5 to use. It's not much. So I do think that might be the next cardio challenge type deal. I would actually, yeah. So I was planning on doing that. I just should.
Now I can beat you.
Well, don't expect that to last for very long.
I know.
You see Larry Wheels training grappling. He was supposed to have a Real American Freestyle Wrestling match against Tarzan, folk style, I think. Oh, did that not happen? He's not doing it anymore? I would say I would wrestle him, but I've tried to collaborate with Larry multiple times. He just had no interest. I don't know. Like I said, what can I say? You know what I mean? Like not to speak ill or anything, but like I messaged him and he's like, oh yeah, we could totally do that. And then I was in California and he ghosted me. And then I saw him at Germany at the same gym as me. And he just did not seem like he wanted to talk to me at all. But then again, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a douchebag, or I don't know. Probably not though. I don't know. When you freaking watch people throughout the years, you feel like you kind of know them, right? And I'm like, oh, Larry would be cool. He's horse cocks, huge loads. This would be sick. Be super intense. And I was telling him too when I met him in person. I was like, we should do behind the back deadlifts. I'm like, if you're pulling, because I think at the time he was dicking around doing a sumo deadlift. He did like 800 plus. I'm like, there's no way. Like, you could probably do 1,000 pound behind the back deadlift with a couple practices. You know what I mean? And he just seemed like so disinterested. But he doesn't even lift anymore, does he? He just does like MMA training now, which is like, all right, good for him. I mean, I would scrap with him if he wants to wrestle. That'd be cool. I could teach him, you know? I could teach him a thing or two, especially like, because some people that are coaching, like, oh, you got to do this and this. But like, I've been like a lighter guy and I've been a heavier guy. So I feel like I know how to be a kind of, you know, muscular wrestling style, because it is different. You're not like as light. Got a lot of underhooks and a lot of snatches. You know what I mean? A lot of freaking snap downs, 2-on-1s. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Anyways, that's people. I don't expect you guys to, everyone's not a wrestling person. So, but yeah, I would do it. And I think it's cool he's doing it. Probably good for him in all honesty. I think the problem for him, not saying it's a bad thing, but I think the problem for him is he peaked so young and, you know, by his own admittance, took so many PEDs to get there that he doesn't want to be unhealthy anymore. And like, he probably can't reach that level anymore. So there's just like no point for him. You know what I mean? So it's probably a good thing for him to transition to something else anyways, where he doesn't have to be like his, because right now it's like if he goes back to lifting, he's just going to be, unless he ramps it up crazy, it's just going to be a shell of what he used to be. And that's why I do feel like the people that want to get so strong so fast or get so huge so fast, it's like you are setting yourself up for a world of failure down the road. You know what I mean? Like, take the time, right? Try to do it remotely the right way, because otherwise you're just going to burn out and you're going to quit at some point. You want to do what's sustainable. Otherwise, you're going to lose all the joy from it. And then it's like, well, I'm never going to deadlift 900 again. What's the point? And that's true. How anticlimactic is it if you deadlifted 900 pounds and all of a sudden like 700 is hard, you know? So, but that's like a word of caution to young lads that are trying to break world records at 18 years old and stuff. Anyways, Mom was telling me to wrap it up. She's true. It's 2:50. I got to get my daughter by 3. So this was good. This was fun. I sucked down some coffee. The pre-workout's worn off. Are we team Mike O'Hearn now? Mike O'Hearn's an interesting guy. I will say that he's very impressive in terms of being able to do hoisting the weights he does for so long at his age without injuries and that kind of stuff, which is very admirable, you know? I think that's the main thing that people should be looking at right now. Everyone's so caught up in like, oh, he's totally super enhanced, he's a liar, and all that. But the thing is, like, he's 56 years old or whatever. Like, how does he do it at 56 years old, you know? That's what should be studied and be conversed amongst the masses, right? But anyways, we're going to continue this conversation probably next week or so. I'm going to go right now, but I'm going to ask you guys, is it better to do early or is it better to do late? Today we started at noon. Last week we started at 8 p.m. What do you guys think? What's the preference? Or is it better to switch every freaking week? Late it is. All right, everyone's saying late. All right, there we go. I got the gist. You know what I mean? It's a ratio. Freaking everyone's saying late. All right, noted. This is better anyways because I didn't lift yet. 2 a.m. live stream. All right, fellas. Until next time. Thank you for all tuning in.